Good evening. It is not morning, but it is the evening. Welcome back to another episode of the South Florida Gamers Podcast. I am your host, the Soderback Senpai, and joining me across the table is my co-host, Waluigi.
Good evening. It's been a while. Well, literally around 24 hours or so, but glad to be back with our latest guest.
Yes, and before we announce before we introduce our guest, our third guy, AJ, he is not here with us today. It's, he's taking a day off or whatnot, so that's fine. We'll just, run the show without him, and, he'll be back on the next podcast episode, mostly maybe on Sundays or whatnot. So other than that, now let's get on to our guest, who is Dannyboy, returning.
Hey,
What's up, my dude?
What's going on, everybody?
We're doing good.
Yeah, it's been a while since the combo cast.
Yeah, it's
No, it was the CEO one.
That was the CEO one. Yeah. So it has been a while since the CEO cast, right? The fans have been clamoring, right, to get me on the mic by myself. So here I am, here to deliver.
Yeah, we are
right? So yeah, I'm happy to be here. It was a fun time last time. I'm hoping to have a good time yet again, right?
Absolutely.
So I guess for those who don't know who I am, might as well spill out the full resume, right? So I am an aspiring South Florida competitor. My main games of interest are King of Fighters 15 and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Q Laugh Track, right? But besides that, I also got some Street Fighter 5 on the side. But besides my competitive endeavors, right, I'm also a commentator, the unofficial, official community manager for the South Florida scene here, mostly for Strive.
Unofficial, official. I like that.
Yeah. I also run the South Florida FGC Twitter page at South Florida FGC. I run that along with my good friend Ryan, aka Convicted of Fun. What else do I do? I'm the liaison, right? I'm the guy that everyone kind of sticks out on the front when we want to talk with the new scenes. Right? I don't know, man. I got
You're not wrong.
You got the appealing face, you got the appealing voice. What can I say? I'm a true Renaissance man. Right?
You're not wrong entirely.
I think that's it. I mean, do I really need more of a resume?
I mean, man, that is extensive.
That is layers.
Yeah. We got a professional here tonight.
That's true.
I practiced in the bathroom before I came here.
Hey,
As long as it's not the Flynn's bathroom, that's okay.
no, definitely. Listen, man, I've seen worse bathrooms, man. You've never been to Versus.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, you have?
I
Oh,
have
dude.
never.
So you know. Oh, you've never been to Versus?
No, nobody told me about this.
Dude, that bathroom is a nuclear reactor, man. There were some science experiments that went wrong in there. Let me tell you what.
So that's why the Smash players left.
Do you think the Smash players weren't the reason why it's like that, man?
Good points.
Listen, man, all I'm saying is the FGC nights never got more than like 30. Smash nights, on the other hand, when Ultimate first came out, they had like almost 100 people in that room on a Thursday evening.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough times.
Yeah,
it was tough times.
Yeah,
Another thing I forgot to put on my resume, by the way, local South Florida FGC historian. Talk to me about your. I can recount any story.
That's true. I remember this earlier from yesterday in the podcast.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on.
Good. We're going to at least get some layers.
All right. So, with you here with us tonight, we asked the same question that we ask every person that we have on as a guest, and that is, what is your gaming origins? What's your gaming background story? Like, what got you into gaming?
So gaming as a general, okay, so I'm going to highlight my, I guess, lack of age, right? So the first memory I have with video games at all is I must have been like 3 years old, right? And my cousin, I was watching him playing on his Nintendo 64. That was the console that he had. He was playing Ocarina of Time, right? And at one point he was like, I don't know, I guess I was like bothering him to let me play the game. He was like, here. So he hands me the controller. It's specifically the part where you go back to Lon Ranch as an adult, right? And you try to get your horse back, right? You try to get opponent back. And I would just play the race that you have to do with him over and over and over again. You know, I'm a stupid 3-year-old, right? So I don't know how to actually win it, right? So eventually I give the controller back to my cousin. He's like, here, I'm going to show you how to do this, right? So he goes through the race, beats the guy. And, your reward for beating the race is that you actually get to take opponent with you, right? So he beats the race. They like lock the gate and you're supposed to jump over the gate at the end, right? So I'm like, oh, that's cool. He beat the race for me, but now I don't know what to do. He's like, here, run into that fence, right? So I run into that fence. The horse clears the gate. and you get to run around the whole field with the horse. And my 3-year-old brain was like, "This is what humanity has been leading to this entire time. This is like the peak of human evolution. We're literally never gonna top this moment, right?" So ever since that point, I was hooked. Zelda as a series specifically holds a special place in my heart, specifically because of that, right? So that's what got me into normal games, right? I think another thing that I have to mention is what got me into fighting games specifically, right? Because that's obviously a big focus with me. So
I mean, that was gonna be like the next topic.
I mean, okay.
Yeah,
So let's go into that. But that's pretty much where I got started with gaming. That's like what introduced me. And then I remember too after that was right before the GameCube was coming out.
Oh.
And the thing with at that time, that was the console that had the characters I recognized because, I'd play on my cousin's Nintendo 64. He would have, Zelda, Mario 64, Mario Kart, all those. So I see a game console coming out and it's got Mario and Link and all these characters I know. So I go to my mom and be like, I want that one, right? So she made probably the worst decision of her entire life, and she bought me a GameCube. I don't remember if it was the year that it came out. I think it was the second year that it was out. And she got me Mario Kart Double Dash and some other game that I don't remember. And then it's been,
that's just a straight banger, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good
Still my favorite personal Mario Kart, but yeah, since then it's just been going from there, right? And it's just expanded ever since.
All right, so let me ask you this: what are your favorite genres in gaming?
So obviously fighting games, right?
Yes.
And we can get into that into a little bit as well. Besides fighting games, I don't know what to call this. I think people lately have been calling them like character action games. It's stuff like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden.
Like a hack and
Like a hack and slash kind of, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that specific kind where it's mostly based on like the combos and like the characters have like move lists that are like 3 times the length of like a second character.
Action adventure games.
Yeah, like those specific kind of hack and slashes. I love those because those are games that like even though they're like single player and it's like technically like a finite game, it's the system is like so in depth and there's so much you can do in those games that you can play them for like hours on end. It's like the same length. You can get like as much as you can out of a game like Persona or like Xenoblade that take like 100 something hours to complete, but it's literally just you in like the same 3 levels beating up on the same enemies like over and over and over again, but you just like increase like the amount of sauce you have while doing it. So I personally love those. I just like games like that kind of let you like they introduce them to you and they're like, okay, here's like the total amount of possibilities in the game.
Right.
Go crazy, and they just let you like be good at it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, so I'm into those. I've been getting more into JRPGs lately. I used to be an avid JRPG hater. I used to think they were boring and they all sucked.
I can understand.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, something changed. I don't know what it was. I think Persona 5 actually is what turned me around in that. It's kind of, I think some people are going to think that might be a little cringe to say, but it's a good game. It's a good game.
Yeah, Persona 5 is a really good game.
Yeah, and then like kind of the aspect of Persona 5, you get a little bit of that too, where it's like you have like a whole array of just like all these different, demons that you can, capture and make part of your team and all that, and like the min-maxing that goes into it and all the different, combinations. I think that really, something about it kind of spoke to me, and the style obviously was a big factor as well. So that definitely got me more into it. So ever since then, I've actually been looking at a lot of older JRPGs. Yeah, like I started Chrono Trigger recently.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know. Yeah, that's one that everyone has been like, if you play one from like the SNES era or somewhere around there, it needs to be that one. So I'm like, all right, might as well. Right, it's cool so far. I'm not super far into it. I like just got Frog as a as a party member, so it's kind of been on the back burner because the thing is, most of the time when I'm at home, I'm either just like chilling because work sucks, or if I'm like playing anything, I'm playing fighting games because you gotta keep sharp. So it's tough to find time nowadays, but I make do with what I have.
Gotcha. So, what are your like top 3 favorite games from growing up in gaming of all time that you could just remember right off the top of your head?
Of all time.
Like Ocarina as an example.
Damn. I mean, okay, so Ocarina is not even my favorite Zelda game. That's the one that I have like the most fond memories of. But my favorite one is probably Wind Waker, because that's the one. Yeah, that's the one that I beat. The first Zelda game that I beat, right? And then also, I don't know, something about. Okay, I like really like stylized games. You know what I mean? Like I think Ocarina for the time, like for the N64, is a beautiful game. Like the art that they make for that game is gorgeous, but something about like the style of Wind Waker, like the cell shading, it kind of like it kind of speaks to me, right? So I'd probably say it's my favorite Zelda game.
Okay.
What's it called? Bayonetta 1 actually is also
nice.
That's
one
the
of my
first time I've
favorite
heard
games.
someone say this, actually.
Yeah, the real Dannyboy fans know about that one, but
The real Dannyboy
yeah,
fans.
but that was like so Devil May Cry 3 was like the first, because I was talking earlier about how that's like kind of like my favorite genre of games. Devil May Cry 3, which is also up there, was kind of the game that got me like inspired to like really go in deep into those games. And then when I played that, I actually didn't play Bayonetta 1 when it came out first. I actually played it when they released 2 on the Wii U. I went back and I played 1 because you get both of them for the price of like a full game.
Yeah.
That was like the deal that they had. So I went and I played Bayonetta 1. I was like, this game is amazing, right? Because I think that's the only one since the first Devil May Cry that Hideki Kamiya came back and he actually worked on those. And it's just something about the way that he makes games that I'm a huge fan of. So that's definitely up there. Yeah, I'll put Wind Waker up there. That's a big one. And then off the top of my head, I'm gonna say Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for a story. For a story that we'll get into when we get to the topic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But Marvel vs. Capcom 2 holds a huge place in my heart. I think that surprises a lot of people because when people talk about my taste in games, I always bring up like the Grand Blues and like the STs. Like, oh, this dude's boring. He just wants to press crouch medium kick all day. But like people don't know I can hang, man. I can hang with the fast games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's good to hear that your taste in I mean not your taste in games, but of course
like your gaming choices.
Your gaming choices and whatnot, because those were also games that I also grew up with. Like I loved Bayonetta, loved Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course the latest one, 5. Grew up playing
5's great. 3's the best. Yeah, 3's the best.
I go with 3 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 was like game changing for me. I was like, yo, like from 1 to 2 to now to 3 are just like mind blowing. Like,
especially after 2. 2.
Dude,
yeah, 2
2's a little rough.
Yeah.
I'm still not the same with the timeline. I never realized Devil May Cry 3.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with the timeline. They stopped caring about. Well, okay, that's a lie. That's a lie. So, because here's the thing. The way that the timeline originally works is that 2 was the latest in the series, right?
Yeah.
But they realized number 1 that makes no sense because Dante sucks in this game, right?
Yeah.
He's just like a boring ass like. He just shows. Okay, you know Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Imagine they took the coin flip gimmick and removed everything else, including the part where it's like before he actually becomes Two-Face. You know, he has like the 2 sides or heads.
Yeah.
He does that. That's like his gimmick, right? He like controls his fate or whatever. And they forgot to make anything interesting about him besides that,
I
right?
forgot about that. I played the trilogy, so I understand.
So his thing is that like, oh, I don't even like remember the story of 2. So Lucia, which is like the OC for that game, shows up and she's like, hey, there's this bad guy that looks like Heihachi. We need you to go kill him because he's bad, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, he flips the coin. He's like, well, I guess the coin says so, right? And then he goes and he shoots guns at things for like 3 hours. And then at the end of the game, Lucia's like, well, these demons are coming from hell. And if no one stops them, I guess everyone just dies.
Like,
and Dante's like, well, I guess I'll flip my coin and decide again. And then that's when he reveals that he's actually like a good guy the whole time or whatever. And then the both sides are hedged. He's like, I control my own destiny, and this is what I decide to do. So he walks into hell, and like that's like the end of DMC2. And then you're sitting there with the PS2 controller on the couch, and you're like, damn, this is a stupid ass ending, right?
Yeah.
So would they end up like retconning all of 2? So
which was a good decision.
Yeah, because they realized no one actually likes it, right?
Nobody did.
Yeah, so now the timeline is just 3.
They were trying something, but
Yeah,
it was just like, no.
It sucks too, because okay, the thing with 2 is that something happened with Kamiya where they were supposed to have him on for the to develop that game, but something happened last minute where he got like booted from the process and he had to like go with his own studio, which was Clover, which eventually became Platinum. And they gave it to the guy who's in charge of the series now, which is Hideaki Itsuno, I think his name is, right? So the thing is, Itsuno, when he was given the game, Capcom gave him the game, and they were like, this game comes out in 3 months. Go. And he's like, oh, shit, fuck. And then he salvages what he can out of the game, and then he makes what he makes. But he was like, all right, this is not my best attempt. Let me start from scratch. And then he ends up making one of the best action games of all time. So it'd be like that, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Still, 3 is a banger, especially how you can play as Virgil.
Dude, Virgil in that game. You know what's crazy? Virgil's so fun in that game, and he's like the worst version of Virgil to play as. In 4 and 5, they expanded him so much.
Yeah,
and,
to
like
the point he's almost he's broken.
oh, in 5 he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He like clears entire like rooms like in 2 moves.
You can play the game on like the hardest difficulty, and it'll still feel like it's easy. With
For real,
Virgil.
dude.
Like that's how overpowered he is. But they
Yeah.
always say that in every game that Virgil is in, he's always a problem. Or
Yeah,
he's too
man. Even
overpowered.
down to the fighting games, dude. He's out
Yeah.
here. You get hit with a random helm breaker, X Factor, hit rematch. Might as well just not even
my
play the game anymore, bro.
God.
Just put the stick down.
Just chill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude.
all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into a good topic, and that is what got you into the fighting game community.
Okay, so there's an arcade. I don't remember where it is, and I feel super bad. I told myself I was gonna look it up, and I forgot. It's called Boomers, right? It's
I
it's
remember
somewhere in like the Davie Hollywood area, right? Not super far from where I live, right? So Boomers was a sick arcade. They had so many they had like all the games that you would expect from like an arcade at the time. Keep in mind when I was going, this was like early to mid 2000s, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
they
I
had
remember.
so many. They had all the fighting games, right? Including the ones that like no one cares about. So they had ST, they had Third Strike, Second Impact for some reason, right? Most of the Tekkens, I forgot which ones they actually had. I
I think
remember.
it was like 1, 2, and 3 around that time.
I know they had 3. I know they had 5 when I stopped going. They
Oh,
had
that's-
5 DR. Actually, no, I think it was Vanilla 5. It was Vanilla 5 because DR was a PlayStation 3 exclusive.
Okay,
my
so that's
bad.
like mid 2000s around that range.
Yeah, mid 2000s when I stopped going, right? But yeah, they had like Street Fighter EX.
Oh
They had
my
all these like
God.
random like Capcom beat 'em ups that you've never heard before, right? They had all these games that were so sick, and a lot of the classics too, like NFL Blitz, NBA Jam, a Mortal Kombat. I don't remember which one it was, but I know they had a Mortal Kombat. Point is, Boomers was lit, right? My favorite game to play there, and the game that I played the most when I was there, was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I don't know why. I think it's because I knew what those 2 words were individually. So together they have to be good, right? So I remember I would go in there and I would play, like every time I was there, most of the time there, I would spend on Marvel 2. And it's so funny because when I originally started playing on the machine, I didn't realize at the time that Marvel, I knew they were like a comic book company, but I knew them from like the movies, right? So like the
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies were
That
coming
makes
out at the time.
sense.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I don't know. Okay, keep in mind, I'm a dumb child, right? Like not even 10 years
I
old.
can understand this
I
logic.
thought Venom was an original character for Spider-Man 3 for that movie, right? For the third.
What?
Yeah, for the third Tobey Maguire movie. So I remember I went there. I think I went on like a field trip for a summer camp, and then one of my friends who was there at the summer camp, we like go to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? Because I was like, dude, this is the best game at this arcade. You have to play with me, right? He's like, oh yeah, I know this game. I'm gonna pick Venom. I'm like, this guy's an idiot. This game came out before the movie. There's no way they can have Venom in there. And he picks Venom. I'm like, what the fuck? He's in this game? And then I play him. He's like the sickest character in that game, and I'm like, all right, this game just keeps on giving, right? And then eventually, you start playing more and more over time, and then one day I'm like bored at home, and I'm like. This is like when I also got like into watching like Let's Plays on like YouTube and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
I would just look up
boy.
videos of like people playing like whatever games I like. So I'm like, damn, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was like a sick game, and they just like announced that they were gonna port it too to Xbox and PS3. So I was like, okay, out of curiosity, let me just look up Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on YouTube. I look it up. One of the first results that you can still find it to this day. One of the first results you see, Clockwork versus Neo, first to 10 money match at Las Vegas, right? It was like a Salty Sweet at EVO one year. That blew my fucking mind. You guys have no idea. Like, I didn't know that video games could be pushed to that level. Because, if you see Marvel vs. Capcom 2 now, that's like a batshit insane game. There's like
Yeah.
infinites all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Characters flying all over, right? Super cheap combos that do like
Yeah.
80%, 90%,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then also Clockwork at the time, who's still one of my personal favorite fighting game players, right? He was playing Strider. I did not know that Strider was going to be my favorite fighting game character before that day. But I saw him cook with that dude. I was like, it was like, again, going back to like the moment of, opponent jumping over the gate and being able to run around the field. I was like, this is where humanity has been advancing to. This is the best thing I've ever seen. So ever since I saw that set, because that set was like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, basically, right? So after I saw that set, I got hooked. I looked up so much, I looked up all the Marvel 2 footage I could find, right? Just any like random like tournament, any set. I watched all the old Evos from Marvel 2, right? I saw every money match that was like uploaded to YouTube. And
Oh
keep in
my
mind, this is like
God.
early YouTube, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like this had to have been like 2000 when I found this out. This was like 2000. It was before Marvel 3 came out. I remember that.
So that has to be either 2007, 2008.
I'm looking
I
it
think
up.
it was.
2009.
It might have been 2009 because the thing is, I think
Yeah.
Street Fighter 4 was out already.
Yeah, Street Fighter 4 was
Yeah,
out
and 4
in
was 09.
2009.
Yeah,
So
it was 09ers, yeah.
MVC3 came out in 2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember. Because okay, here's the thing. I remember the E3 where they showed up. I was not watching E3 at this time. I didn't know what E3 was yet,
Yeah.
right? But I remember somehow the trailer for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 found its way to me, and I was like, what? And
Yeah.
I saw like Wolverine and Ryu, like the clip of them like about to duff each other in the
Yeah,
face,
I
and it's like a
remember that
3D.
too. I
was
remember
like,
that too.
this is gonna be the best video game ever made. Like this is where we peak, right?
Yes.
Dude, and I was like, I've never been like more excited for a video game like in my childhood, like up until that point.
I
And-
was excited for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like when I saw that trailer for the first time, and I was just like, my jaw dropped. I'm excited. I'm jumping up. I'm like, I cannot wait to play this game. This is day one.
Dude,
purchase.
I got it. Yeah, and then I remember I got it, and then I was a kid, so this is like before, like I mean, I was like into the FGC, right? Like I knew what was happening, but I wasn't like super into like competing or anything like that. So I was just kind of like a shitter that like I would play with my friends. You know, I would like, what was my team, dude? My team was like, I remember Dante was on it because I like Dante. I think I had Deadpool because I thought he was funny.
Me too.
And then I had a Matarasu too because I really liked Okami. That was like right after I played
Ooh,
Okami.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a banger right there. That's a good
Okami's
choice.
like the 4th best Zelda game, by the way. I want to point that out there.
Wow. Wow.
But
That's a good one.
yeah, but I remember that was my team that I was rocking with at the time. But I remember I thought 2 was better, just because you know it's like the one you grow up with, you're always gonna like more.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the main reason why is because Strider wasn't in it, right? And that was like my guy. That's like why I started playing Marvel 2. So I was like, dude, if they put Strider in this game, I'm sold. And then they released Ultimate, and when I first announced Ultimate, I was pissed off because I was like, I just got this game.
Yeah,
right.
Same way too.
Yeah, I was like, why am I gonna get this game? And then I saw they had Strider in it. I was like,
And I saw they also had Virgil, and I was like,
here you go. there's my money.
same thing.
But yeah, man, Marvel 3 was definitely a special time. And you know, over time, right? Like I branched out from like Marvel into other fighting games, right? I tried Street Fighter 4. When I got into 4, it was like when Ultra was out already. I thought it was cool, but you know, I could tell it's like I definitely like Marvel more. I started messing around with some anime, dude. Actually.
Tell us your inner weeb. Go on.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's funny you mentioned that. My friend one day, because I had a friend back in the day who was like kind of rich, low key. So like, if there was ever a game that he like wanted someone to play with, he would just buy the game for himself and then buy the game for me too.
That's so
he-
wholesome.
Yeah, so he bought me Blaze Blue Continuum Shift Extend
Yep,
on Steam.
Jesus.
Did not know what Blaze Blue was, had never heard of it, had no idea about Arxis or Daisuke, right? Or not Daisuke, Mori, right? That makes Blaze Blue. Never heard of any of it. So I go into it. I was like, this game is cool, right? Like, I don't know why I picked what's up, Lenny? I picked Noel to start off with, right? I was just like pressing D and just like, you know, getting like random
Noel's
combos.
my main.
Yeah, but I was like, I was trying to play him. He had played the game longer than I have, so he was like kind of cooking me with. I don't even remember what character. I think
Oh,
it was.
snap.
Yeah, I think it was Takumin. On a whim, I was like, let me try Taker. Right, I grabbed him once. I like by accident figured out how magnetism works, and then by the end of the day, he was like, "Okay, I'm banning Taker. Like that character. There's no way that character isn't the best character in the game. You're not allowed to pick him against me." I was like, "Damn, what the hell? Like, what did I do, bro?"
Jesus.
It's just Tager, man. Like I have never even like played a grappler before, and it's like all of a sudden it's like now my Tager is like getting so upset that I'm making people ban. And then out of spite, I like looked up the tier list and I showed him. I was like, "See, I went to Event Hubs, by the way, which is I figured out later you're not supposed to do, but I went to Event Hubs and then I found out like Tager was like towards the bottom of that list. I was like, you see, look, these guys say he sucks, right? Like it's not me, I'm telling you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so it's like that. That was like my early like version of like telling him like skill issue, right? And then yeah, I didn't touch Blaze Blue again until Social Fiction, but yeah, I remember that was a pretty fond memory I had of fighting games. And then I didn't really get into like competing proper until Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 was such like a huge deal when it came out because everybody was playing it, right?
Despite the fact that it had a bad launch.
Yeah, that's the thing. It had a bad launch, but I mean, that just kind of goes to show like how strong like Street Fighter like as a property is. The fact that everyone is still willing to go in and like, you know, play it and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, dude, it's so funny because I remember like the whole like first like 2 years of the game was just nothing but complaining about like the frames of lag and the what's it called? The game like wasn't as in depth because it was mostly about like crush counters. And, like you could be random, right? I mean, some of it was founded like the 8 frames was definitely like a valid point of criticism. There was also a lot of scrub coding. I won't be lying. You know, I'm not gonna lie, right? But
I've heard.
Yeah, we're past that era, right? We can look past it. Street Fighter V, I think, is a you know, in a good place now. I think there's a genuine debate over whether or not 4 or 5 is better. I know some people have their opinions. Most people are gonna say 4 is better. I'm gonna.
We hear this all the time.
I will always love 4 no matter what.
4 has some cool stuff in it.
I never got into Street Fighter.
You never got into Street Fighter?
Never.
I mean, you have a pretty good opportunity coming up now.
Yeah.
6 is. I think 6 actually might have a better like launch than 5 will.
I think I'm just gonna sit down and wait just before I jump into 5 or anything else crazy.
Yeah, because here's the thing.
Because each mechanic change.
Part of the reason why 5 was so big was number 1 is Street Fighter.
Yes.
And number 2, so many people were tired of 4 at the end. Right, because the thing is that 4, it's a lot of game that people love, right? And nowadays, right, people now that it's like not really a game that people are competing in, people look back and they remember all the good times, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But towards the end of that game's lifestyle or lifespan, excuse me, you look at like for example like the last Capcom Cup that they had, top 8. It's the most degenerate top 8 you will ever see.
Is it really,
dude? Okay, okay. You have to keep in mind top 8. The only like honest quote unquote character that was being played was Evil Ryu, right, from Daigo, right? And keep in mind, Evil Ryu is still like a dude that hits you once and you explode, right? But it's like it's Ryu at the end of the day, right? So he's like gonna play honestly. You have to realize the whole rest of the roster was like Yoon, Seth, Makoto, all these Abel, like all these like fuck you, I'm running my mixed characters, dude. Kazunoko versus Daigo. Keep in mind, this is Daigo Umehara, like the Michael Jordan of fighting games, right? Like,
I've heard of Daigo.
One of the best of all time. Kazunoko literally stands from like 3/4 of the screen away and holds up and like chooses randomly to dive kick or not. And Daigo was flabbergasted. He's like, "What do I do about this? I'm stuck, bro. There's nothing like there's nothing I can do, right? Because it's like you don't want to whip DP and then just like take a whole bunch of damage like an idiot, right? So." There was stuff like that. There was stuff like, Seth, he gets like the knockdown and you're just like, now all of a sudden you're in the blender like the whole time, right? They took that away from like every other character in 4, by the way, except for Seth. They just decided he can rock with it. Makoto just kills you. Abel just kills you.
Yep.
That's
right?
cold.
So there was a lot of there's a lot of this. A lot of people like to talk about how Street Fighter 4 is like the pinnacle of neutral. Don't get me wrong. In some matchups, it is. Right? Like you get
but
like
not
all
matchups.
Yeah, you get like an Evil Ryu versus Ken. That's like a real ass like fighting game set, right? But sometimes you get like a set. What was the match? I think it was Makoto versus Seth. Like I was rewatching that top 8 just to watch it. When I got to that set, I was like, "This is not fighting games, man." Like, no wonder people were like ready to move on to 5, man. This is crazy. And then 5 comes out, and everyone's just crush countering each other, and like, "Oh well."
There's no winning to this, is what you're telling me.
You can't win everyone.
No, you cannot.
You really can. Yeah, that's the thing. People are expecting. That's why, like, I'm always like hesitant when people are talking about Project L and stuff like that. People are like, "Oh, Project L is gonna save the FGC. This is gonna be the game that like,
no, it's not.
This is gonna bring us out the mud." And then like half of the dudes that are gonna play Project L are gonna be like, "This game is ass, man. Why is Jinx out here hitting me with like the fucking chompers on the Oki? Meanwhile, I'm getting hit with the Urgot like command grab mix or whatever." Dude,
I'm worried because it's Riot Games we're talking about. Riot Games making a fighting game. That doesn't really add up at all.
I mean, the thing is, it's Riot Games making. Okay, because first off, you would think they only make League, but they've been making like a ton of games.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
They have Legends of Runeterra, which is a card game, right?
Yes.
They have Valorant, which is the FPS, and then they also are working on a dungeon, like a Diablo style game. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they got very talented, and then also they have a bunch of people from the FGC that are both making the game, and so the 2 guys that are making it are Tom and Tony Cannon. They like co-run Evo.
Oh snap.
Yeah, so one of them is like making like the game part of the game, and the other one's like working just purely on the netcode, right? Which he's the guy that like kind of popularized like GGPO and rollback. So most people are pretty sure that the netcode's going to be really good, right? So they have people like that. They have Patrick Miller. They have, I think they have, oh my God, what's his name? The Keats, the guy who made Killer Instinct, or like was like in charge of it. I'm pretty sure he's working on the game.
You're gonna make me look this up. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's working on the game. Point is, they have a lot of people who like know what they're doing on the team, so it's in good hands. The thing is that the nature of the game, right? Just like a tag game. There's so many people that don't fuck with tag games because they're kind of wild by nature. Some people need like a more
1v1.
Yeah, like a more controlled sense of what's going on, right? But
you're talking about the 2013 one, right?
Yeah, Killer Instinct 2013. I don't think he started working on the game, but I think around season 2 or 3
Oh,
is when
okay.
he got on.
I'm looking at like the actual creator, which is like Robin Beanland, but I might be wrong.
Yeah,
completely.
because originally it was Twin Helix, I think, that was making it, and then development switched over to Iron Galaxy. And I think when it was with Iron Galaxy that the Keats started working on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think that's his company.
It looks like it has a lot of potential, definitely, for a fighting game.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm like kind of cautiously like.
I'm just gonna wait for someone else to buy it, just like everyone with DNF.
I mean, it might be free. That's the thing. That's another reason why people are looking forward to it.
I mean, if they rage quit and go to League of Legends, that feels like it's gonna be. I feel like that's bonus points.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if this is gonna happen. I remember when they announced that game, so many people were like, "Dude, I'm so ready to like shit on all these League kids coming over." Right? They were out here calling like their assists like ganks and stuff like that. Right? Happy birthdays are gonna be double kills.
No, you're just gonna hear someone play Imagine Dragons all over again.
Dude, oh, for the win, dude. I hope they don't put Imagine Dragons in that fucking. Dude, it's in the game and it's in the show.
Yes.
What's Arcane?
Yes.
Dude, I hate Imagine Dragons.
I do too. They're overrated. But anyways.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm like completely lost because I'm not in League. I've never played League, so I'm just.
You don't need to, man.
We're talking about the show. Don't worry.
The show is good. I actually like the show. You don't need to know anything about League.
12 episodes, Netflix.
Imagine Dragons is on the theme song. I will warn you. Right, so you kind of have to clench yourself a little bit for that. But if you can get past that, then you're good.
I mean, you can just skip intro like everybody else.
You could also just skip it, yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be interesting because they'll complain about Street Fighter 4 or 5, and they'll bring up Project L.
Oh yeah, dude, that's the other thing
Then
too.
there's
When Street Fighter 6 comes out, you're gonna be so many people talking about. Dude, 5's got real neutral.
I'm gonna be blocking
right?
everybody.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Dude, I wish when you couldn't like do whatever like the new mechanic is called. I wish when you couldn't like fart cancel into EX torque on these dudes, right? I miss when you had to earn your V trigger like a real man. Right?
And I miss when you had to earn a parry.
Yeah, for real, dude.
I wish I could Daigo.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Same here.
Yes. Can we just have like a subsection where we just talk about the weekly bitching?
Dude, I'm ready, man. The Street Fighter 6 cast, get me in there, dude. I'm gonna expose, dude. I'm gonna expose so many people on the Street Fighter 6 cast. That's all I'm gonna say, man. All these people talking about how I got no neutral and I'm out I'm ass at these fighting games. All I'm gonna say, man, Street Fighter 6 comes out, just get ready to boot up, you know.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah,
All right, so what like got you like in the competitive scene, like to compete, locally or whatnot, especially like offline?
Yeah, so the first tournament I ever went to was a tournament called Miramar Mix Up, which is right by my house. So it was like, to me, it was like perfect because I didn't really know where the locals were yet. But this was like a year into Street Fighter, right? I was like super silver at the time, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I can go here and like level up, right? And then maybe I could hit gold, right? I didn't hit gold at that point, but I remember I went there, right? It was an event that was run like by the actual. I mean, there were also people like internally from the FGC that were working, right? So I think Ryan was like head TO for that event, and he had his crew working with him. But then also there was a guy who like works for the city who was just like a big like fighting game head, right? Like he had like a PS2 on the side with like CVS2 for casuals, like just in case you wanted to play it, right? But it was only a Street Fighter event at the time, and I remember I went there, and a whole bunch of people from like the actual real FGC showed up. So you had a lot of names from Street Fighter. So I'm trying to remember. I remember Marvello was there because that was back when he was still trying to play Street Fighter. You had Affinity, who doesn't live here anymore. He was a TO for Street Fighter Versus.
Oh, wow.
Affinity was there. Tyson, Guadi. Who else was there? I think Super Kami Cubby was there. I don't think Itachi's Legacy was there. He might have been. I don't remember. A whole bunch of people that, like, if you're in the know with, like, South Florida Street Fighter, you'll definitely recognize the names, right? So all the important people showed up. There was me, and then there was all the kids who showed up because it was, like, a city-sanctioned event, right?
Gotcha.
So... What's it called? I remember I went there, and my big goal was like, I just don't want to lose. Like, I don't know how I knew about the concept of 0-2, but I was like, I just don't want to go 0-2. That's like my goal, right? And I remember I lost my first round because I went up against somebody good. I don't remember who, right? I think I went against Affinity. No, I don't remember. I went up against somebody. They fucking dragged me across the floor, right? Like head into the pavement. It was pretty ugly, right? And I was like, all right, we hold that, I guess. You know, that's what losers bracket is for, right? Yep. No, I lied. I actually won my first round, but my first round was against a literal child, right? Like his mom was in the back watching him and everything, and I had to tell them like, I remember I beat him. It wasn't even like that far. I mean, it was like pretty free for me, but like, you know, considering that he was a child, it could have been more free, right? And he was about to tell his mom, like, okay, the tournament's over, we can go home. And I told him, no, stay here. There's still a loser's bracket, right? You still get to play, right? So I remember I beat him. I lost to someone who was like hella good. And then in losers, I had to play Soul, who was Tyson's boyfriend. Still is. I don't know why I said was, but Soul, who was Tyson's boyfriend. And he was getting coaching from like 4 different people. It was hilarious. And like I beat him, and that was like my little mini pop. I was like, yeah, I beat the FGC, right? Because like everyone was in his corner. I'm like the underdog, right? But I ended up beating him. I was real proud of that one. And then I lost to actually Marvello was my next opponent after that.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and Marvello watched me, bro. That was back when Urian was broken, so he hit me with the Aegis reflect. He hit me with a wake up Aegis. I got kind of tilted about that, but it'd be like that. So that's kind of what like sparked the bug in me, to want to compete. But unfortunately, that was like right before I got into an accident that totaled my car. So I just didn't have a car for like a few years, right? So I can only go to events that my friends wanted to go into. Thankfully, one of my good friends, Lucar, right? You guys might know him as...
I've heard his name.
Yeah. So he's... at one point, he was the best... at one point, he was the best South Florida Dragon Ball player. That title kind of gets tossed around between people all the time. You can argue now that it's Perfection because he actually got top 8 at CEO. But Lucar's still pretty good. He actually got 4th at an invitational that Cloud 805 just ran.
Nice.
Ran to side, right? He was my friend. I knew him from like before we got into fighting games, right? And he just randomly got into Dragon Ball. The first tournament that he entered at AO, he got sent to losers round 1 and then ended up winning the whole tournament. So he just like ended up becoming like a big shot out of nowhere, right? Like no fighting game experience. He's just nice with it, right? So I was like, hey, you're going to this tournament? You might hook me up with a ride real quick? So I just went with him, and I just started like playing locally a lot in Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was a game that I never quite clicked with, but I think it was still an invaluable like experience for me. I learned a lot from Dragon Ball, like a lot of concepts that I brought into other games, and I met a lot of really cool people from that scene who are still pretty close friends with me. So overall, like while I think that they kind of killed that game and Dragon Ball kind of sucks right now, I'm still grateful for the time that I had in it, and definitely had a lot of good memories with it.
I do have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So, when did you come up with the name Dannyboy?
Okay, so I didn't have a tag at one point, and I remember I had to enter a tournament. I think it was like I was at FIU, right? That's where I went to school, and like they had a Smash tournament one day, and I was like, I'm bored, I got nothing else to do, might as well enter. And they were like, quick, think of a tag. And I was like, okay, I think calling people by their gamer names is kind of whack. So I wanted a name that had my actual name in it, right? And there was a trip that I took to Disney World with my cousin and like my uncle and aunt, like when I was younger. And the whole time we were up there, he decided to annoy the hell out of me by singing Dannyboy, the pipes are
so that's how
the whole time, the whole way up and the whole way down. And that shit's been stuck in my head ever since. It's like a brain worm. So I was like, fuck it, Dannyboy. That's the tag.
Wow. That's actually pretty cool.
So that's the origins of Dannyboy. I wanted a tag that had my actual name in it, and then I didn't want to, what's it called? But I still wanted it to be a tag, and then I was thinking of that song, so that's what gave it to me. And then my tag got hijacked by the other Dannyboy, the fucking imposter. You know what my only problem with the other Dannyboy is? You know what Dannyboy's name is?
What?
Jose. Motherfucker's name isn't even Danny. My name is actually Danny.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like I have a reason to have the tag. His name is just Jose. Like he's not even like Irish, man. The dude's fucking like I don't even know, like Mexican. I think he's from Texas, right? I mean,
ain't no way.
Yeah, so it's like my name got hijacked for like no fucking reason by a guy who's not even named Danny.
Because I remember us talking about this a while back for the CEO cast.
Yeah.
And how you had to justify yourself that you're not that.
Yeah, dude, that's the other thing. He like gets me in trouble because he like starts shit with like dudes for like no reason. And then I go to CEO or Combo Breaker and like I like hop on a Street Fighter setup. This doesn't happen in any other game, by the way, because he only plays Street Fighter, right? So I'll hop on a Street Fighter setup and they're like, "Hey, you're pretty good, man. What's your tag?" And I'll be like, "Oh, Dannyboy." And they'll give me like the side eye. They'll like look at me kind of nasty. I'll have to be like, "No, the other one." They're like, "Oh, okay, my bad." Yeah, 'cause that dude's a menace, man. Like I
that
remember
layer of toxicity.
Yeah, Yeah, dude, day 0 at CEO, like the Thursday, I was playing casuals with some guy on his laptop, right? And I had to go through that whole thing. He's like, oh, okay, you're probably cool, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, yeah, you see the other Dannyboy, we don't like that guy. He points to his friend, and he's like, you see this guy over here? Yeah, Dannyboy sent this guy death threats over playing this video game. I'm like, oh.
How?
Well, I won't do that.
That's a lot of work and pettiness.
Yeah, for real.
Definitely.
Gotta blemish your name one way, but not that way.
So if you have any ideas for a new tag, feel free to hit my line.
Wait, I got one.
Oh, you got one?
Danny Man.
That one's dangerous. People start expecting a lot more out of you when you put the man in there.
I was thinking more like a superhero kind of thing, but okay.
I mean, that's the thing, right? That's responsibilities, bro.
That's true.
So, with your time being in the FGC and whatnot, what would you say would be one of your best moments being a part of the FGC?
Wow. I'm really liking there's 2 moments that I think of that for me, I'm like, that I really love being a part of this. The first one was the first CEO back after COVID hit, which was CEO 2021. Mm-hmm. There was a Grand Blue versus exhibition, 10v10, East Coast versus the world. Right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I made the cut for East Coast. I wasn't the first person on the team, but I was the first person to take games off of people, right?
Oh,
and to me, I was like, dude, these guys are fucking killers. Like, they're monsters, right? So it's like, if I win one game, I'm good, right? But then I actually ended up taking 2 sets, right?
Really?
Yeah, so I took sets off, and they were like decent players too. One of them was a Vasaraga, and I was playing against Lord Cruxus like all the time, right? Who used to main Vasaraga back then. So I had the matchup
so you
chance. I was
know
ready.
what to do.
Yeah, and the other one was Charlotta. I hate Charlotta.
I think everybody does.
That character is so annoying. I hate her so much. But I ended up clutching it out, right? And I beat that guy. I was like, holy shit! Like, I already like way exceeded my expectations. I had to go up against Seth eventually, who at the time was playing. Well, not at the time, still playing La Diva, right? Seth, for those who don't know, got 5th, I think, at CEO that just passed.
Yeah,
right?
I
and I was like,
that name.
this close to not shitting the bed against them, but it happens, man. Grapplers are tough. But yeah, just the fact that I was able to rep, the East Coast, put on a good show, right? I was talking match shit before the exhibition too.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so the fact that I was able to take games and I not look like a complete jackass, I thought was.
How did I know you were?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Hey, I ended up taking more games than Ren, the Japanese player.
Yeah.
He didn't beat anybody at the exhibition. So,
Really?
So for an hour of time, right? For like a brief moment of history, I was a better player than Ren. That didn't happen for the rest of the weekend, but for that moment in time, I was better than Red.
Hey, we take that.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
we
that
take
was definitely a big thing. And then the other big thing, I think, was Invite Hell, right? Just being able to commentate that 7 hours straight, man. But
Jesus.
Yeah, just being part of like the commentary and also just planning it, getting everybody together, right? And just seeing the whole thing come to fruition. Something I'm super proud of.
Door question: 7 hours straight. How?
All right. So for any aspiring commentators in the chat, cough drops are your best friend. Because
Noted.
Yeah, what cough drops do is they kind of soothe your throat muscles, and they get irritated when you start talking for that much, right? Especially for someone like me, I project like naturally. I'm a loud guy.
Yeah.
Right? So bring cough drops with you, a lot of like water or even like tea if you have it. Tea's really good, and just take care of yourself, right? Make sure that you get breaks. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Take the advice.
You see, Brandon, the problem with your statement is I have a colon of steel. So the laxatives are never going to bother me.
Wait, what?
Cough drops, they do make you gotta go. I won't lie. But, that's what the breaks are for, right?
Yeah, you can run with it or take the shits.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I regret nothing.
So all right, and I have another question for just like FGC related stuff since when you got into it, and this is what were some of the moments where you just be like, why is the FGC like this?
I want to know. I actually do want to know.
Why is the FGC like this?
It's not normal for many people, but for us.
Okay, because here's the thing. I don't have too many issues with the community itself. Because, all right, I'm going to give everyone some life advice. Twitter is not real. It doesn't exist. Like, it's not a place 100% you can go
agreed.
to, right? So if something happens on Twitter and you don't like it, you can just turn your phone off, right?
Yeah.
Just walk away from the situation. Which is why, like, whenever some stuff happens in the FGC that's, like, general, do we have to pay attention to that alert? Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're still live. We're good? Okay, I mean, the VOD will be up. We're good?
Just that I'm out of memory on my laptop.
Ah, damn. Anyways, back into it. Sorry to interrupt. So I don't really have too many issues with like the FGC, like as a whole. It's just like there's certain individuals, and I don't really like to call people out because then like, as much of an instigator as I am, I really don't like making beef with like individual people. But as far as like moments where I could say the FGC as a whole was, I didn't fuck with. I don't know. There isn't really much stuff I can come up with. Probably what I would say is that I think there's some people that like okay, and I don't want to be misconstrued here, right? Like,
No worries.
Yeah, I don't want to be a guy that says that like we should just start like canceling people for no reason. But at the same time, there's like low key like some hypocrisy with like who we do let into events versus who we don't. Like for example, okay, again, I don't want to name names, but I'm gonna name names. There's no reason why Noel Brown should be let into an event. If we're not okay with like Mr. Wizard and like those kinds of people, like if we're not okay with those dudes running around, Noel Brown should not be allowed.
Now,
right?
for the viewers that aren't cultural people, can you explain like
Noel
a brief
Brown
summary?
is a Marvel vs. Capcom player. He got into hot water when he physically assaulted his ex-girlfriend, excuse me, right? And everyone just kind of seemed to ignore or forget about it. And everyone kind of brings it up, and I'm just kind of like, if we're not cool with these guys, why are we cool with this one, you know?
I can agree with that.
Yeah. What's it called? So there's stuff like that. You know, I think like the only thing I would say is that like there should maybe be like, you know, like a little bit more consistency when it comes to that. But beyond that, you know, I don't really have too many issues with the FGC as well. I'm a big fan of the FGC, right? It's just there are some specific people that like, you know, I might have some issues with. And if I do have issues with, it's something because like it's on that level. Right?
Yes, I can agree
If you're
with
a
that.
whack person, you're a whack person. But, you know, like I don't never have to talk to you ever. You know, that's not really my problem.
100% agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, because not
I'm also going to be like that when Street Fighter 6 comes out, but that's a story for a different day.
Ooh, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to be straight up, and like some reviewers might not bother to look up the names, but
Actually,
at least
speaking of,
summarize.
I don't know why I thought about this when I thought about
Good,
Street Fighter
keep
6.
going.
The only other thing I have a problem with the FGC in general, I feel like a lot of times opinions get invalidated from people who like are quote unquote not good at the game only because they're not good. Because there are some people who are amazing at video games that have terrible opinions. Like they
Yes.
should not be allowed to speak about anything ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the flip side, I think that there's actually a lot of insight that you can get from a lot of newer players. Right. Specifically things like what is actually like the things about these games that keep people coming, right? But a lot of times that gets discredited because people think that they don't know what they're talking about or whatever, right? So I think we need to do a little bit better about that, right? You know, kind of elevating some voices versus not silencing others. But that's it.
Agreed. It's good to get an understanding from everybody, especially
for
in
sure.
general communication. No matter the skill level and everything else within that range, that's very acceptable.
Yeah,
True.
absolutely.
Yeah. One last thing before we move on to our next topic, and that is, what would you like to see the FGC do better moving forward?
What would I like to see the FGC do?
Even though I think we already covered that in the last question that I asked, I just want to make sure that for the people that are watching, like, okay, this is what the FGC should do better moving forward, so that way there are no problems. Because yes, there are going to be problems and issues that are going to be brought up and whatnot. And to me, I feel like as long as everyone police each other and just check each other, like if you're doing something wrong or something out of pocket, like check each other.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I'd say like the main thing is like consistency,
Yeah.
right? I think, you know, I mean, this mostly goes back to certain people kind of being like TOs or something like that are kind of a bit more lax on things compared to others, right? We're seeing a lot of that change now, right? Because, you know, the FGC has kind of voiced like its disdain with certain people, and like a lot of people who people kind of trust are stepping up into the reins, into those times, you know, into those positions that I guess like they should, I don't know if I want to use that word, but they should be taking. So I think we're starting to see a lot less of it. But the main thing I kind of want to see is like consistency, right? It's like we have to kind of, you know, apply the rules fairly to everybody, whether or not you're a top player, you're a bottom player, right? No one should be getting any free rides.
Yeah.
I would say that. I would say kind of on the flip side, I would also say take, you know, criticism like constructively, right? Like if someone's bringing up like a valid point, like don't silence it out, like, you know, take it in and actually like see what they're saying. But at the same time, you as like a random goon on Twitter should not entertain every shit take that everyone has about like whatever event, right?
Yeah.
The main thing, like again, don't want to call out names, but it's like some dude like Punk or like, I don't know, something like that, says something whack about like a tournament and literally nobody else agrees, that's when you can be like, all right, this guy has a check mark, but do I really have to listen to what he has to say about this?
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, kind of make like, form your own decisions, like
Yeah.
figure
Form your
out,
own ideology. in a
figure out
way.
what your opinions are, right? And like you can be informed, right? You can use what other people are saying to be like, oh, I hadn't thought about it like this way, right? But don't just say something only because someone else is saying it, right? Say it because you either agree or whatever, right?
Agreed.
Agreed. All right, so moving on to our next topic. What is your thoughts on the current state of gaming? Not just with FGC, but just gaming all in general. Like, what is your thoughts on just the current state of video games?
I think gaming is very unoriginal right now. I think there's a lot of like either
Copy and paste?
Yeah, so everything is either a sequel, a remake, or
A remaster.
or it's just like this game is just like X but done differently, right? I'm trying to think of an example.
Battle royales.
Battle royales, dude. Every game that's like a Sony original game, I swear, has been like the same game in a different coat of paint for the past like I don't know how long, right? It's always like third person, over the shoulder, semi-open world, some stealth elements, right? I feel like they've been doing that like forever, and they're not the only company that does it. It's just the first one that comes to my mind, right? But when you have so many of those kinds of games, it's like. It gets stale after a while, like
Yeah.
so what I really want to see is more people kind of shake up how they're doing it. I would really love for games to get a lot of the style that I feel like has been missing from games like for a while. I feel like the last like era that kind of had like what I'm talking about is like the GameCube, PS2, Xbox,
Yeah, 'cause
Dreamcast
there was,
era.
like, there was
Yes.
a lot of there was so many different and unique games that you could just play or whatnot. It just looked cool, and you just be like, I want to see what that game is about. I want to play it. It looks interesting.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause-
And it's unique because you don't see that with another game.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to now, it's just like every gaming company is trying to do like the same thing as everyone else because it's like, what's the quickest way that they can make money?
Yeah.
The quickest and the most efficient way to make money because. Yeah, we understand we're trying to make money, but it's just like I don't want to take a risk trying to experiment with something new because people may not like it because they are accustomed to what they're already currently playing.
Exactly. The other thing too that I think is missing from gaming a lot is I think a lot of games could do a lot better to incorporate like different like kinds of art direction,
Yeah.
right? So going back to what I was talking about the GameCube PS2 era, right? You would go in and you'd see like some realistic games, right?
Yes.
So like you see like I don't know, like Medal of Honor, for example, or like a lot of the military shooters are very like realistic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Or like San Andreas, which is like realistic, like as much as they could get it, right? While still kind of having like a level of like like it's kind of inspired by a lot of like street art and like graffiti. And then you have some other games. I don't know, like Jet Set Radio, for example, which is
I
like
was ready to say
full-
that.
Yeah, like full balls to the wall, like super like stylized, right? And then you also have games that kind of strike like a middle balance, right?
Yeah.
I guess like the example, like I guess going back to Wind Waker, we were talking about earlier, right? Like it still kind of wants to be grounded, but at the same time, it's very like.
It has
it's
its
almost
own
like-
art style.
Yeah, it has its own art style, right? You fast forward to now, everything is like super like realistic. You get to see like all the pores on like
Yeah.
Kratos' face. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of games that look really good in that style, right? Like I think God of War is a really like impressive looking game. I think for my money, I would say Uncharted 4 is probably the best looking game that tries to aim for that like realistic like
Yeah.
this looks like a movie
Okay.
being played out in front of me. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah,
like the best looking
definitely.
game on like a technical level, right? And as much as I hate that this game exists, Last of Us Remastered might barely like edge out over that, right? It purely from the visuals alone, right? But the thing is, like, when that's like the only kind of game that's like being made, it's like I kind of want to see more. So like I really like commend games like Cuphead or like Neon White that like just came out recently that like try to be like their own thing. I think Cuphead's like insane. By the
Yes.
way, the fact that that game like exists and they animated, number one, that they animated it the way that they did, and number two, they made like a whole DLC of just more of like that, like
More levels, more expansion to the same game.
yeah, and then it's still like hand drawn, right? So
Yeah, it brings that 1940s classic animation look.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of games that like to do, try to change things up visually.
Yeah, Okami is a good example too.
Okami is actually a great
Yeah.
example, dude. That game in HD when they re-released it for the modern,
Yes.
beautiful.
I have it on
Beautiful
PlayStation
game.
4.
Dude, that game, I love
still
that
have
game.
not played
Yeah.
the game, and I still have it.
Dude, you gotta get it, man. Get it. Steam, PS4, Switch.
I have it on my PS4. It's just that I never played it.
Dude, it's super. Do you like the Zelda style of games?
Yeah, like I like artistic games. Like now,
The fighting style is so unique.
like for me now, it's like I'm kind of getting tired playing the same old thing, and it's just like I want to play something unique and different, which is why I've been also jumping into more JRPGs because I'm getting a much different experience than some of these other games that I played. Like, yeah, I played a lot of shooters back in the PS3 and the PS4 era. PS5, pretty much the only shooter I still play is probably Apex, and that's because I've dedicated my entire time into that game.
I get you. I mean, yeah.
But with that, it's just like I do want to play other games. I do want to have like different experiences. I like as much as the graphics look good, which I will commend. Sometimes it's just like I want to see something a little bit different.
I feel you.
Different artwork, different style. Yeah, it looks good, but it's just like it's not that alone is not gonna carry me through the entire game.
Yeah,
because I played good-looking games and I'm just like, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah, 'cause I think the part that the game that broke me, I think, was Ghost of Tsushima. So I bought that game. That game's not even a bad game, right? The gameplay loop just kind of gets boring after a while. But I realized afterwards it's a very pretty game, right? And I will say it does have like some inspiration for how it looks, right? It tries to take from the old like Akira Kurosawa films, right? But after a while, I was just like, this is just like the same game that I've played like 3 times at this point, you know? It's like, fuck, man, like give me something different, you know? But what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah, what can you do? And Manny Fix It said, and I'm just addressing this because this caught my eye. It says 2D fighters were great for artwork.
Yeah, actually, they were really good. Dude, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has a lot of great artworks. Like, all the character portraits are really good. Third Strike, I think, is the one that people bring up a lot. Like, the style of that game is fantastic.
Seeing the older Guilty Gears as well, I looked back into it originally.
Dude, the older Guilty Gears, they have good art, but it's so weird to go back to, right? Because you see how buff everyone is now, and you go back to, like, Twink Soul, and you're like, what happened, dude? Like, my man, inhaled, like, 80 pounds of, like, whey powder and just started hitting the fucking Rex.
Completely different. Like, he was Jack then, and it's like, you look at him now in Strive, it's just like, good Lord, you became, like, the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, for real, dude. My man's a fucking tyrant. Like, dude, even the difference from, like, Exerd to Strive is, like, like, his body mass increased by, like, 800.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like...
It's just, like, one hell of a transition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot. Oh, yeah, Guilty Gear was a Naomi game. You ever played Guilty Gear 1?
No, but I've seen it.
Don't.
You're gonna make me look this up anyways.
Don't. If you ever get bored, look up a Guilty Gear 1 tournament. It's like people throw around the term like Kusoge so much that like it's lost all meaning. That game is actually Kusoge. It's like, yeah, it's like worse than like H&K levels of just like you just get one random hit and it's like, oops, my bad. Sorry that I booted up the game.
I will say that for fighting games, at least they are getting better.
Yes,
they are getting better.
I will say
some of the other genres like shooters, it's like not getting better.
I would actually.
But I would say with fighters, they're definitely getting better because now it's like I want to play as many fighters that come out and see if I'm gonna like it or not.
Yeah, because that's the thing.
And it's like I don't mind if I spent the money and it's like okay, I don't play this game anymore. It's just the fact that I still want to try it.
Yeah, that's the thing about this, like the PS4 era that I call it of fighting games, right? The 16 era onwards that people don't really talk about that much. If you were a 09er, right, you either liked Capcom or that's it. Like, you gotta fuck yourself, right? It's like, it's like you could play like KOF or like
Mortal Kombat.
Like, Mortal Kombat or like there's like the one BlazBlue like set up in the corner that like 2 dudes are on, but it's like really like if you didn't play Street Fighter or like maybe Marvel vs. Capcom, it's like you were kind of out of luck, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like Tekken has a great scene, right? Even though everyone's kind of like pissed off at 7 wants to wait for 8 now, but you know, Tekken has a great scene. All the anime games have a great scene. Guilty Gear is like the biggest game. You know, if you told like an Exerd player that, they'd like fucking laugh at you, right? Like, what are you like? What are you smoking? But now like Strive's like the biggest game. All the anime games are doing super good.
What the hell is Overture?
Overture? Oh, Guilty Gear Overture?
Yes.
Okay, is that the RTS game? No, is that Guilty Gear 2? There's a game called Guilty Gear 2 that's not.
I see this, and
Yes. Okay. So there's a really like it's not an RTS.
I thought it was an actual fighting game.
It's a really weird like it's a mix of Dynasty Warriors and like tower defense.
It looks like a freaking
That's the game.
JRPG.
That's the first game that Sin is in, by the way. Before Exerd, Sin was in this game.
Yeah,
this is the first game that he's in. It's not good.
What the hell?
It's super not good. It exists for the lore. and it's like you run around and you beat up like it's like these minions that like show up out of like the precipice. I think the bad guy was Valentine. Not Ram or Alpha, just like an entity named Valentine. And he had these minions that are kind of like what Jacko shoots out, but like they look a little different.
We
and
really
like
talking about Guilty Gear lore. I love it.
Yeah, and you have to like kill like a million of them. It's a okay. Every Guilty Gear game that is not like a fighting game or Guilty Gear 1 is just bad. Don't play any of them. Do yourself the favor.
Noted. I'm just gonna do some walkthroughs and sit down and listen to the lore.
Another fighting game you should never play, and I may feel some type of way that I'm gonna mention it. Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Ooh.
I have opinions on that game. So that game on launch, you're correct, is booty butt cheeks. It's garbage. No one should ever touch the vanilla version of Cross Tekken. Should you buy the game now? No, because there's no port of the game that works. But in theory, if you can get a copy of Steam, convince someone to come over to your house and play like an actual real-ass game of Cross Tekken, it's not that bad. I don't think it's as good as some people say it is, but like, okay, keep in mind, you know everyone talks about, bro, I need a real game with real ass footsies. Cross Tekken is that game. It has almost nothing else. But if you want a real ass footsies game and you want a game with just like, you know, all like your favorite characters, right? Because like Tekken has a cool ass I'll admit.
Is it predominantly Street Fighter?
No, it's half and half. Okay, here's the thing. If you like Tekken, Cross Tekken's probably not your game.
Because it's a 3D fighter.
It plays like a wacky mod of Street Fighter 4. And the Tekken characters do not have their Tekken move list. I mean, they'll have like...
What?
Like, you know, like Kazuya will have like an electric wind god fist and stuff like that. But it's like Jin, for example. Jin is like regular like karate man, right? He's all about his strikes and like his hook fist, right? But in that game, he like activates like his mind's eye and he like shoots projectiles that like go across the screen. It's like super weird.
The lore would be going so nuts.
Yeah, man. But like Cross Tekken, you can do a lot worse than Cross Tekken. I will say that. I'd rather play Cross Tekken than some of the games that are out now. I'm not as much of a Cross Tekken shill as some other people, but it's... I'm not going to, you know, if you say that you're a Cross Tekken fan, I'm not going to immediately call you an idiot, you know? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone say that, so I think we're on a good
Like
path.
what happened with Capcom versus SNK?
CVS? Okay, so here's the problem. That game will never happen. Okay, before the old excuses, they were owned by like some weird Chinese mega corporation, right? That was like the when did that happen? I think it was like 2001, 2, or something like that. Yeah, I think it was 2001 that they got bought out by that. And then ever since that happened, SNK has just been like secluded from the entire world, right? They've just like Playmore was the company. They would just like be standing from like the top of the fucking podium, just like cracking the whips at the poor SNK devs, like go draw more K-Dash sprites, go, right? And then we got some of the worst. We got one of the best KOF games, which was O2. Some of the worst KOF games in the entire series, and then they spit out 13, which is actually good.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah,
is
but like
when
in
I
between,
got into KOF.
yeah, but in between 02 and 13 was just garbage. Like nothing good in between, right? And because they don't want to interact with anybody, CVS2 or CVS3, excuse me, was like impossible. Then SNK was free, and there was like a brief glimpse that everyone thought it was possible. They like kind of trolled and they threw a Yori in like some weird like anime, like it's not a titty game, but it's like a, I don't know, it's like one of those games that you're gonna have problems explaining to your parents.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, so everyone was like, bro, these guys are trolling, man. Make CVS 3. And then SNK got bought out by the fucking by Saudi Arabia.
Yes, I just started reading this.
Yeah, but yeah, they got bought out by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, which everyone has opinions about. But it's gonna be tough because I don't know if Capcom wants to collaborate with that guy. But you know, that's what they got to go through if they want it to happen.
Oh yeah.
It'd be one hell of one hell of a questionable banger. Like,
but I do miss those games. I do miss that era and that period where you would have like crossovers with certain fighters or whatnot.
Yeah, man.
I do miss that era.
Oh, me
Even
too.
though some of the crossovers were god awful, like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe.
we never talk about that.
I played that game once.
It's been 2 years since we last talked about this.
I played that game once, and I was like, why does this exist? This is
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's like you take like both like franchises, I guess. You remove like everything that makes them cool about both of them, and then you just don't even make the game fun on top of that. And it's just like, all right, guys, here you go, give me your money.
Yeah.
I feel like the best collaboration out there was Samurai Showdown because they had For Honor.
Dude.
That's a whole meme.
Forgot about the honor.
I said what
forgot
I
about
said.
For Honor. Bro, that game has biking in it. You can talk about the cool collaboration. You're here talking about For Honor.
Yes.
Yeah, like even with collaborations, like I know with Tekken 7 they had Geese, which was huge.
Dude, the Akuma reveal for Tekken 7, that was
Yeah.
like the biggest
Everyone
thing.
and their mother went
Dude.
nuts.
Yeah, that was insane when I first heard about that.
And all the guest characters that Tekken 7 had, like Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, Negan from The
Fucking
Walking
Negan,
Dead,
dude.
which
Fucking
was
Negan.
That's out of pocket.
completely out of nowhere. Like nobody was not expecting.
Dude, it's so funny because you go back and you look at the old reactions, right? You see, okay, because Geese, everyone was excited for,
Yes.
right? Noctis, the people that like Final Fantasy, they're like, oh, that's fucking sick. And then there's other people that's like, why would you put Noctis, dude?
Yeah.
Why
I
would
was
you
one
put
of those
Noctis?
people, actually.
Yeah, and then you get Negan, where all the American Tekken players are like laughing their ass off because it's hilarious.
Oh,
and then
I was
all
hyped.
like the Korean and Japanese FGC, like, who the fuck is Negan?
They had to explain it by Tekken X Walking Dead. I'm like,
For real, dude.
But yeah, like I would like to see more of that in fighting games where they have like a guest character from another fighter coming into the roster or whatnot. Like I could see that with Street Fighter. Hopefully, I could also see
I
that.
don't think Street Fighter's gonna do it, man. I think we have to settle for the the Capcom like crossovers, like how Zeku's like the first Strider and stuff
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
Yes.
I think that's what you're gonna have to settle
Okay.
for.
I mean,
That
I
I
feel
feel
like
like-
Tekken 8 might be pulling off something like that. They have to.
Yeah,
Dude,
could
if they
be.
pull some shit off of Tekken 8, I'm gonna be, I'll be impressed. If they can top like Akuma and Geese, I'll be very impressed.
I'm sorry. I just read some toxicity in the chat.
Yeah, from Ultima Wielder.
Organization Milky, dude. People just say stuff. You know, they just say stuff to get reactions, man. You know, the Twitch chat is like Twitter. You don't actually have to respond to what they say in the chat, and just like that, we'll move on to our next topic.
Yeah. All right, and our next topic is what does gaming mean to you?
It means a lot of things, man. I mean, it means it means like my childhood. It means my passion, right? There's a huge sense of community, both in and out of the FGC, right? Because obviously the FGC, that's what the C stands for, right? You're gonna inherently meet a lot of people, but even beyond that, right? Like a lot of my very close friends I've met over the years was just us, just either playing games together, just talking about what we were doing, right? Both old and new. Right, so community is a big part of it. The memories. I think it's also like, I don't mean to get like super like corny or sentimental, but it's also, I think it's like interesting as like an art form, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stories, a lot of great like artwork, music that you don't get to experience like through other mediums. Like I think Metal Gear Solid is one of like the smartest like most well done like brain blasting stories ever. That story. For any of the games, really, even 5, you know, as much as people like to shit on 5, those stories I don't think could be told through any other medium. So
Right.
I think it's a very unique medium when it comes to expression and things like that. Just because like getting to like, you know, see the character through their journey and like control them, and then, you know, there's always things, because like the big example that people talk about with Metal Gear is stuff where it's like, you know, he reads your memory card and you have to plug it into the second player slot. Like you don't get that kind of stuff with other
Not at all.
mediums,
You
right?
don't.
And
You
then,
can't even get that with a movie.
yeah, for real. Yeah, so it's like, you know, you're not gonna get stuff like that in movies and things like that. And then also like, I don't know, like a very classic like storytelling trope is kind of like the sense of like triumph and success when, you know, when your character, your protagonist. I love protagonists. They're my favorite kind of character, by the way. If you couldn't tell by the fact that I play main character in every fighting game. But I love protagonists because it's like, I don't know, it's like seeing a dude, you put him down on his ass, you give him a problem, and then he overcomes it and he succeeds. I don't know, that shit hits every time, for me at least, right? So it's like being able to like take that character like through that process and then seeing them come out on top. I don't know, it hits different. It hits different.
Definitely. Great to hear. Great to hear.
Yeah.
Waluigi, any thoughts?
Definitely agree with that when it comes to it being an art form.
Mm-hmm.
I love this question every single time that everyone always has a different answer. That's a therapy. It's an artwork. It's this. I still love that question so much, even to this day,
Same.
because everyone always says something different.
Yeah, man. People underestimate how much it can do.
Yeah. Like gaming means a lot to everyone. For those that are within the gaming community, especially in the fighting game community, like even for me, you know, being in the community, even though I've always wanted to be in it since, in like 10 years ago. It's just that I couldn't find a venue where, people would, actively go and just, play games or play fighting games against each other, whatnot, and just, build from there.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm glad that I'm in now and I can appreciate it. And then, of course, it also exposes me to more people that also play different games as well.
Yeah, man. I think now is also a really good time to get in, because I think we're starting to see kind of the new generation of the FGC kind of blossom, both locally and, globally as well. And I think you have a very interesting position, right? Because you kind of get to be like one of the spearheads, right? Like one of the figureheads, kind of leading the FGC into that new era, right? So it's like you have all these people that are starting with Guilty Gear, and there's gonna be a whole lot more people that are coming in with like Street Fighter 6, and then eventually Project L, like all these other like big releases. Eventually Tekken 8. I don't know when that's gonna happen, right, dude? By the way, you want to talk about, dude? We talk about how Street Fighter 6 is gonna get the 4 to 5 treatment. Tekken 8, I think, is gonna be that, but 8 times worse.
Yes,
I'm telling you, because okay, here's the thing: people did not like 4 towards the end of the game, right? Which is why they were so excited for 5, only for there to be such like a colossal, like, I guess, disappointment, right? 7 is going through that right now, right? It's been going through that ever since Leroy got added to the game, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, DLC characters are killing the game. They're like,
oh yeah,
they're not prioritizing
rage arts.
Yeah, like rage arts are too ham. They're not prioritizing movement. The game is just like frame data memorization, right? I miss when you could like play by like whatever. Tekken 8 is gonna be a real Tekken game, and then that game is gonna come out, and there's gonna be like there's gonna be a new character from like some country that no one has never heard of, right? They're gonna have like some random ass move that tracks +5 on block. It's a mid. You can't deal with that shit. Everyone's like, bro, I miss when real Tekken, right? Where where someone does this dumb shit and you can rage art through it, right?
Oh, I miss when Leroy just brought his dog out.
Yeah, for real, dude. I miss when someone's gonna say some shit like, dude, when you put someone on the wall, you got real advantage, right? There's gonna be like some weird mechanic in 8 where it's like you just bounce off the wall and it's like you just get out the corner for free or some shit like that.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, man, that game is gonna get it way worse than Street Fighter 6 will. I feel it.
There was a point that you mentioned. Sorry to cut you off, Waluigi. There was a point that you mentioned about the newer generation coming in to the fighting game community, and something that I am seeing now is those who are from the previous generation not liking the fact that some fighting games are becoming a lot easier.
Okay, here's the thing. I get it. Because I think there is a certain point to which you should simplify or make games easier.
Like auto combo.
I don't have an issue with auto combos in some contexts, right? Because like KOF 15 has auto combos. Okay, actually, I do have a problem with auto combos, but it's not the problem that most people have with auto combos, right? And this is actually going to be going into the thing that I was going to say is, right, which is like, I get it, because I think fighting game devs are trying a little too hard. They're simplifying things that don't need to be simplified, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think people really have an issue with most motion inputs, right? Like, if you keep things to like quarter circles, charges, 360s, if you don't do anything crazy like the old like pretzel motion that Geese used to do, people are fine. Yeah, like as long as you don't have some shit like that in that game, people are fine. I think one frame links are bad, so I'm okay with them being gone, right? But like, I get it if you think about it to that extent, right? But at the same time, if you're complaining that you're losing because these fighting games are too easy, no, you're bad. You just suck.
Yeah.
And you need to reevaluate your life figure out what you're doing wrong so you can go in, improve, and beat the guy that you swear is bad. Because let's be real, if you're losing to a guy and you say that he's shit, what does that say about you? Really,
that's real talk.
You just lost to the shitter, right? Yeah. So you gotta look inward, do better.
Absolutely.
Amen to that.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about Street Fighter 6's easy inputs?
I mean, it's not going to be a thing, right? Because like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the supposed best fighting game of all time, right, actually has that same mode.
Really?
Yes. There's like a normal mode and a simple mode, right? So it's like one button is like all your attacks, and that it has like an auto combo in that mode, right? Which is like really like it does like 20% in a game where you can touch someone and kill them, right? All these special moves are like on a button, and like the direction you press influences them, right? There's like I think one button for assist, right? So it simplifies the moveset, and no one uses it because you don't even get access to like half your move list, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think the easy input mode or whatever for Street Fighter 6 is going to be that same thing. I'm gonna be real. I don't think it needs to exist. I mean, it might need to exist for like people who just like maybe show up to Flynn's one day and they're like, "Oh, I've heard of Street Fighter before. Let me pick up Ryu real quick." I don't think it needs to exist. Like, I don't think people are like, complaining that Street Fighter games need to be that easy.
Yeah. Like forward circle. Sure, you can.
Yeah, literally, yeah. But at the same time, it's like it's so limiting that control scheme that it's not gonna be a thing that people actually use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well said.
Okay. All right. Next topic. You had to be there moments.
Oof.
What moments that you had to be there that you could describe, like anything that happened in gaming or even in the FGC that you've been a part of, any majors that you've been, like, give the audience, give us like a story or a history of like, yo, you had to be there.
The real
Okay,
Danny
so
moment.
you guys were talking about Elden Ring yesterday. I had that same experience, but with Breath of the Wilds. So when that game came out, it was literally me and my friends. We were just like, we were going ham on that game. Basically, it's like, okay, you go this way, I go this way, this guy goes this way, and then we all just figure out whatever the hell's in the game, right? And then we just go from there.
That's cool.
So yeah, there was like a whole like 3-4 months where we just dedicated to only playing that game. That to me was super sick, because even though it was like, it's like we said, it's a single player game, but there's just so much shit to do in that game that it's just like overall we just like ended up like forming our own experiences, and then just like started sharing with others, and then if we think something's cool, it's like, oh, I want to do that, right? So it's like over time we just kind of we just went through it, and there was a whole bunch of cool experiences that we got to share. So I definitely think that was like a cool moment. That was like one of those things where it's like, I don't ever think that'll be replicated anytime soon. Maybe, hopefully, with the sequel, right? But, that's a lot of expectations to live up for, right? So that was definitely a big thing. I think, what else is there?
Any moment in gaming, in your experience,
Could be a crowd moment.
like a proud moment, a bad moment, funny moment, like you had to be there to witness it.
Something
Like
that
you
impacted.
witnessed it, but it's gaming related.
I don't want to bring this up. So Marvel 3 for me was like the reveal where I was like, I'm never going to experience this again. I almost experienced the same thing with Marvel Infinite, and then it came out. So we're going to so we're going to skip that one. What else? I think like when Street Fighter 5 came out, and that was kind of like the revitalization of the FGC, that to me was like also a huge deal, because like that was like when everyone was back into it. Dude, I used Reddit for the first time when Street Fighter 5 came out. That's how serious I was
Oh my God.
about trying to find stuff out about that game. So I think that was like a pretty big moment to me. Oh my God, what else? There was one E3 that like blew my mind. I forgot what it was. I think it was there was one year that Sony did really good, and I think like Microsoft brought the heat too. It was a recent one, 2015 maybe, 2015, 2016. I don't remember. There was an E3 where I was like, I was actually entertained the whole way through. I was like, this is amazing. They need to make every E3 like this. I think it was 2015.
For which game?
I remember Metal Gear Solid 5 was a game that was there. That was one of the games I remembered. I think they showed off Tekken 7 that year. They showed off... Fuck, man. What else did they show off? That's when they were like starting to reveal stuff about the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think they announced it that game.
2016?
It had to be 2016.
No, I think it was 2015.
Oh, shoot.
No. Yeah, it was 2015, because I remember that was the year. I remember because I was like still lukewarm about, I don't know if I want a PS5 yet, because like there's still no games on this. That year sold me on the console. I was like, this is amazing. I have to get this now. And then conveniently, that's when that console started to get games. So I was fucking with it back then. So that was a big deal. What else? Okay, some people might not agree with me in the chat, but when Overwatch first came out, I was super big on Overwatch. My friends were playing that like every day, right? And I had a whole ton of fun. It reminded me of like when I first got into TF2, right? That was a game. I have like 3,000 hours or something logged.
I'm sorry, what?
Team Fortress 2? Yeah, because dude, I would like. Okay, I'm gonna show my age a little bit, but I would come home from I think it was 9th grade when I was playing that game the most, right? It was definitely for sure after it went free to play, but I would get home literally like I was super bad at the game, so I'd die all the time, right? So I'd like play the game, get like fucking sniped from like halfway across the screen by a sniper, right? I would have my math homework in front of me, so I would like do my math problems while I'm waiting for the respawn timer, right? And then go back in, right? Like flounder is like scout or whatever, right? Die again, do another fucking math problem, right? And like that was like my high school. I just played like a shitload of TF2. So like Overwatch kind of like invigorated that for me, and it was also just a game that everyone was playing. I didn't get too good at it. I think I like peaked at gold, but yeah, man, that was a fun game. I'm not excited for Overwatch 2 at all, by the way. Something got lost.
You know, there's a certain
Wait, what happened? Why are you not excited for Overwatch 2?
Dude, I don't know. It's just like, I think I realized, because, okay, here's the thing. Nowadays, when I play Overwatch, if I ever do play, it's kind of like I turn my brain off and, like, you know, like just kind of like kill time while I'm doing it, which is fine. There should be games that are like that, but nowadays I like more kind of like in-depth, like more, I guess, thoughtful, like competitive games if I'm gonna play like a multiplayer game like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like nowadays if I'm playing like an FPS and I want to actually like play it to like have fun, now I'm gonna boot up like Valorant or something like that, because I don't know, I'm just like I'm a naturally competitive guy.
Okay,
right?
I was about to say, because Valorant seems a little bit extra.
I mean, Valorant's a fun game. Valorant, I actually really do enjoy it. The map design in that game is booty butt cheeks.
It seems so simple.
Yeah, but what's it called? COD 4 Modern Warfare. Dude, I was actually never too big of a COD guy. I like the Black Ops. Black Ops was my favorite one.
Agreed.
But after Black Ops 1, I don't know, I never got too into them. I would always like get whichever ones my friends got. I actually did get Cold War. But Cold War for me had the same issue that Overwatch had, where it's like I turned this on like only to
you enjoy for like a good couple of days and then we're like, okay.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I
like a burnout.
grinded out some of the camos, right? Just to, like have something to do in that game,
Yeah.
right? That's pretty much it, right? I like that the updates were coming out for free, right? I like that I didn't have to pay for the zombies maps.
That's true.
That was good. I fucked with that. But yeah, I'm probably done with COD like forever. Cold War I thought was actually like better than
Really?
most of the Call of Duties that have come out since Black Ops, right? Because like Black Ops to me is like the last one that I thought was like, this is like a game that's like worth my time, right? Because like all the other ones, like Modern Warfare 3 was like, it was all right, right? What was after Black Ops 2? I was like, why the fuck is this in the future? I was refusing change, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I wasn't fucking with Black Ops 2. Black Ops 3 was just Black Ops 2 but worse. I think after 2 was the next one after that when they started putting Sledgehammer in to start developing them.
No, Sledge. That was Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, and there was one in between 3 and Advanced Warfare, right? Or am I wrong?
World War II?
No, World War II was after.
Oh,
Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, was Infinite Warfare the one with that like they went to space and everyone got really pissed off?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I wasn't gonna buy it anyways, but I remember like I got pissed. I don't know why I got so mad too. Okay, because they have the song Black Star. I'm a big music guy, by the way. They have Black Star by David Bowie as the trailer song.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I lied. No. They had Space Oddity. That was the song that they used in that trailer, right? Super classic David Bowie song. They put that trailer out right after he died. Like he died, and then like 2 weeks later they put out that trailer. I'm like, damn, y'all really gonna shit on him by attaching his song to like a trailer for a game this fucking shitty, right?
That's cold-blooded.
Yeah, dude. I wasn't fucking with it.
That is way too
Right.
cold-blooded. Now that I just realized that.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, bro. It'd be like that, man. That was like some Steven Hillenburg type shit. You know what I mean? No spin-offs, and then you make like 3 SpongeBob spin-offs all back to back.
Back to back to back to back. Yeah.
I got opinions on that, but I'm gonna reserve them.
Dear God.
We're here to talk about games.
Yes. And for our next topic, what are your gaming pet peeves?
Something you hate.
Okay, so I already talked
What
about.
annoys you?
I already talked about how what's it called? About how these games look the same, dude. Okay, there's a lot of little things that bothered me about video games. Have you noticed that box arts for games suck now?
Yes.
They're all bad. Like it's actually like, even for good games, like Doom Eternal, I think is like the best like single player FPS that's come out in like I don't know how many years. That game is amazing. I love
Agreed.
it. The box art is terrible. Right? Oh wait, no. I'm thinking of original Doom. No. My bad. Forget what I said. They actually fixed that problem with Doom Eternal.
Okay.
But like Doom 2016, still a fantastic game. I love that game so much. The box art is like him just fucking like stocked up, just like
It's just generic.
Yeah.
like it's really bad. There's so many like renders of like all these like you know. I don't know. They just all suck, right? So it's like I don't know why that annoys me for some reason. I just like to see the effort put in, right?
Honestly.
As far as general games go. What else? I don't mind games that are like microtransaction filled if they're free. I hate when I have to spend $20 on a game and then they're advertising the fucking battle pass or whatever to me so I can play as like Darth Vader or whatever. It's like if that's how you're gonna make money, don't make me buy the game. You're gonna get way more money off of me buying like 80 battle passes. So it's like
Exactly.
don't sell that shit to me. Dude, one thing that bothers me about fighting games, actually specifically, every fighting game has been coming out with horrendous input lag. I don't know what it is. Like something like broke on the PS4 or some shit like that. But it's like every game has like 6 frames of input lag minimum. And it bothers the hell out of me. It's like, why are you guys like this? Like Exer came out with no problem. Skullgirls is on the PS4 with no problem. KOF 14 had no problem. But now it's like Tekken 7 shipped with 6. Street Fighter 5 shipped with 8. And they had to bring it back down to like 4.5 or something like that. Guilty Gear had the issue and they had to patch that. KOF has that issue. They haven't patched it yet. Sam Show has that problem. I don't think. Did they patch it?
I don't know. It's SNK. Let's be realistic.
I don't remember. Yeah, SNK is going through some shit. They just have no money. That's what it is. SNK is just fucking broke, right? Every fighting game has like atrocious input lag. Every fighting game is
DNF
like,
Duel.
Dude, DNF Duel has terrible input lag. I don't know what
really freaking
I don't know what the
does.
fuck they're doing, man.
Like I noticed it when we had one of our locals. I think it was last week because I play on the PS5 at home and I play the PS4 version and I'm used to it. When I play on the base PS4, I notice it. I'm dropping combos. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yep.
And then when I switched to, and I recently bought DNF Duel for PC, then I go to the PS5 to the PS4 version, and I notice it. I'm just like,
dude, the thing is too with DNF on the PC, I think it has the greatest difference between the PC version and the console version.
It's like night and day
when it comes to because let's say you play PC like Guilty Gear Strive, right? It has like I think 2 frames of delay, which is good, right? That's like standard. You can't really get less than that, right? You go on a console and it's like 4 something, right? 4 point something, right? Which is not the best in the world, right? Like if you're really good, you're gonna notice the difference, but it's not like it's like it's close, right? It's like close enough that it's like you can go between, like you can't really blame the console as like the sole reason why you're losing a set if you're playing Strive, right?
No,
DNF also only has like 2-3 frames of lag on PC, which again is good, but then you go to PS4 and even on like a PS4 Pro, it's like 6 frames. And it's like the difference is like fucking insane. And it's like, how the hell am I supposed to like be able to adjust to this consistently? Speaking of Arxis, another thing that bothers me about Arxis games specifically, but really most fighting games in general, there is no fighting game with a complete training mode. Right, and when I mean a complete training mode, I mean a game that has frame data, a game that has save states, a game that has like reversal options for like on block, on hit, whatever. A game that has like round start, like simulation, right?
It's just dummies.
Yeah, every game has at least one of those things or like multiple, but there's no game that has brought in everything. Once a game has like all those features all in once, it'll be like the best game ever. Like straight up.
It'll probably be just more fun to lab.
That too, man. I mean, yeah, because that's the thing, dude. If you go into DNF Duels training mode, DNF Duels training mode is so bad. Like I don't know, like
it's just stand there, let me do my combos.
Dude, like the recording doesn't work. You have to like fiddle with the block settings. I don't know. It's
like good luck and just watch some YouTube videos.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it makes it a very play by feel game, which is I guess fine for some people. Like that's the thing. I'm not even a lab monster. But it just annoys me that it's like they could be so much better, and they're not. It's like it's like what Beefy says. Like it's literally random what like features they keep in some games versus others. Yeah, and they just remove them. It's like you guys literally work for the same company. You can just like peek to the other cubicle and be like, hey, what are you working on? Oh, you got frame data in that game? Yo, let me get the code for that real quick. It's the same engine too. It's like literally what's it called? There's like a few lines of code. Like I think if you change like 2 lines of code in DNF Duel, you can add burst to the game from Strive, right? So it's the same engine. Yeah. It's just they just didn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I do want to keep playing DNF Duel, and I'm still gonna keep playing it.
It has potential,
but I just hope that they fix that input lag on the base PS4, and then of course on the PS4 Pro, so to where it's at least the same or close to the same as the one on the PC, so that way there's not that much of a significant difference, because I can play it on 3 different platforms and I notice the shit from PC to base PS4 and I'm just like, good Lord, now I see why people don't want to play it on base PS4. They'll just be like either the Pro or PC or the PS5.
Yep.
Yeah, I straight up brought my laptop that last time.
And I brought and tomorrow I'm bringing my PS5 and I brought it last week because it just runs better.
Yeah, you just have to.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then someone brought us up in the chat too, dude. If Tekken 8 makes you buy frame data, I'm gonna start a riot, man. I'm boycotting every Bandai Namco game ever, man. You're not getting no more sense out of me for Tekken, for Dragon Ball, like none of that shit, man. If you
I feel like
that was dumb on Harada.
Yeah, I feel like Harada is gonna redeem himself.
Like,
Dude.
make frame data free.
Yeah, for real. Also, I guess to go back to general gaming, another big pet peeve that I have, not every game needs to be open worlds.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that's a thing. Beefy
mentioned
brought it up, and I agree with him, where it's like, because, okay, there are some games that take the open world, and they work with it. I think Skyrim is actually a decent example of it, despite what, some of our previous guests might have to say about it.
What did I say, Gerald? I knew this was going to happen.
Right? So it's like, I'm not even, like, that big of a Skyrim fan. It's like, I'm going to be honest, Skyrim's, like, not a game for me, but I at least respect, like, what it is and what it's going for. I think the game is good, just not a game that I want to play. Right?
Yeah.
So, but there's games like Breath of the Wild. I brought it up last time. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna get like shot in the chat. I feel like
most likely.
Okay, so Beefy was here. What's it called? Hating on Metal Gear Solid 5 earlier. I think 5, for what it is, actually is like the best version of what it wants to be, which is like an open world like Metal Gear like Solid. Because the thing is, to me, what an open world means is like you get the freedom to like approach like situations like however you want. Yeah, and MGS5 like gives you so many tools to just like do like a whole bunch of what's it called, really just whatever. Like you can like drop like supply boxes on people's heads to like knock them out. There's like all these different non-lethal ways you can like hide on horses, set up explosives beforehand, slide into people with boxes. Like it's crazy the amount of shit you can do, right? Breath of the Wild does that too. There's a bunch of games that I think do it not that great. I'm trying to think of an example. Most of the Sony games that have been coming out, I'm not a big fan of.
Spider-Man.
I mean, Spider-Man's actually fine. Okay, here's the thing. Spider-Man is cheating a little bit because just moving around as Spider-Man is fun.
Yes, it is.
Right? So it's like that kind of picks up a lot of the slack that the open world has. But like at the same time, it's like while it is fun, I wouldn't want to go through and pick up like every like single collectible or whatever in that game.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't inspire me that much, but it's fun enough to like.
Unless you trophy hunting.
Yeah, but trophy hunt is I only trophy hunt for games that I really like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of another example of an open world game, like the Assassin's Creed games that have been coming out. I'm kind of an Assassin's Creed hater, but they like kind of recently, like not recently. It's kind of always how it's been, right? Where it's like they kind of have like an open world, but it's very much so like the interesting parts of the game are here, and here, right?
Yeah.
And like there's like little MacGuffins you can pick up, like kind of in between, but beyond that, there's like nothing that's happening in there. So to me, it's like
really
you're just kind of wasting your resources, like making open worlds, right? Especially when these guys are on like as much of a time crunch as they are, because they only have a year to spit out each game. I feel like you'd be better off just focusing on just like making individual like sections of the game that are just good, right? Rather than worrying about trying to make your game like just like this world or whatever that you pretend is like lived in.
I just remembered an open world game. Cyberpunk.
I have actually not played Cyberpunk.
I played the first patch. I haven't played the second one.
Yeah, there were some red flags that I were looking at from
I had to see it through.
Yeah, there were some red flags that I was looking at from launch where I was like,
I was colorblind with the red flags.
I don't know, but yeah, Cyberpunk. I mean, from what I understand, Cyberpunk also seems like kind of that game because, like, from my understanding, you mostly play it for the story.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like if you're just going to be a story game, then in my opinion, you have no reason to be open world. Like,
Yeah.
You should only be open world if you like really play into the open world aspect of it, like the sandbox kind of style of it. You know what I mean?
Where there's like you have your main story, but then you also have side stories that also can be as big as the main story.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you can make a world, like if you can make an open world game and like the side quests are like interesting, right? Like either something like, either like what's going on is interesting or it forces you to make like a decision that you actually have to like think about, right?
Yeah.
That's when I think you can start going for that open world. But if you're just gonna tell like one story, right, and it's gonna be about like, I don't know, this one guy and there's like only like a couple of side characters and nobody in the side quests like matter for anything, right? It's like at that point just don't even bother,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I learned my lesson $100 later.
Oh, did you get the collector's edition?
No, I got my friend it too because he doesn't play many video games.
No. Oh, you got him Cyberpunk? Oh man, at least get him like, I don't know.
He kept
like,
the chain. I wanted the chain too.
Dude, at least get a game that like people know is already good, right? Because it's like if someone I know would like wants to get more into video games, and like I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna gamble on a game that's not already out.
He's like,
I'm
the
gonna get him
combat
like
was too complicated. I'm like, shit, you just gotta read.
For Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Isn't it like an FPS?
Yeah, it's really easy actually.
All right. Well,
There's
I
like-
mean, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
No, I know. I wasn't beating him up for
Yeah.
being 40 years old and stuff.
So,
Oh, he's 40. Damn.
Ooh.
Nier
Yeah,
Automata, best side quest of all time. Okay, from a narrative standpoint, yes. I actually think Nier I'm very iffy on because it does kind of fulfill that like. I'm talking about Automata, by the way. I've never played any of the other Nier games,
Yeah.
but Automata does kind of fill like that stipulation of like you need to have interesting side quests, right, to like
Yeah.
kind of justify your game being open world. But at the same time, I would low key be more okay with the game just kind of being like corridors and rooms, and you just focus more on like just refining like the combat experience
Yeah.
of the game, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I would be more okay with that. But the side quests are like kind of good enough to carry it. I just think going in between, which is my other issue with open worlds, is like if your open world is boring to traverse, right? Which is why I let Spider-Man get away with being Spider-Man. If your overworld is like boring to traverse, I'm not gonna fuck with it, right?
Right.
So it's like the side quests are like kind of worth it just for like like being as interesting as they are. But a lot of times if I see that there's a side quest like out of my way, I'm not gonna go and get it. I'm just gonna go about my business.
definitely. All right, and we're about to get down to our last one, and that is closing remarks. So that way we can go ahead and wrap this up and put a bow on it.
Alrighty.
Closing remarks, Danny boy.
I had a great time. I always like discussing because it's not very often you get to sit down with a couple of people and really talk about some of the experiences that you had and just kind of your thoughts and your opinions, right? So I definitely had a fantastic time here. I'm hoping to see a lot of people. I didn't get to show the FGC as much as I thought I would, but what's it called? If you're interested in fighting games at all, pick one and play it. Like, people try to make like this huge deal. Okay, because here's the thing. Here's the stigma that fighting games have. People think that if you want to play the games, you have to play it like competitive. You have to play with the intention of being the best in the world eventually.
Yeah.
That is not the case, right?
No.
Think about how you don't think that way for like, an FPS. Like, if someone plays Call of Duty, you're not going to play Call of Duty with the intention of being the best in the world,
No.
right? Same thing with Fortnite. Same thing with Rocket League. Same thing with League of Legends, right? You treat fighting games the same way, right? So the way I say it is, don't overthink it. Don't stress it. Pick a game you think is cool. For you, that might be Strive. That might be a lesser, game with not as big as a community. Maybe something like Grand Blue, maybe something like DNF, right? So whatever you're interested in, just pick it. Learn how to play it, and have a good time, right? Definitely look into your local scene, right? See if wherever you are, wherever you live. And I know most of the people that are tuned in are from South Florida, right? So definitely check out Flynn's if you can, or if you're in Day, check out Next Level, right? Definitely a lot of opportunities to come through and be a part of the community. Pick whatever character you want. Do not let any down players say any dumb shit. If you think Jacko is cool and some crazed individual with a thick beard and a snapback tells you that character is bottom 5,
Wait,
no, dude, that's a lot of people I'm describing. All right.
No, I know.
So if some crazed individual comes up to you and tells you that Jacko sucks, it doesn't matter because you're gonna play that character anyways and you're gonna have a good time. All right. Because the other thing I should tell you, do not force yourself to do something in fighting games that you don't want to. Right. If everyone's telling you like pick Ram because she's good, but you don't care about Ram, just don't pick her, man. Do what you think is fun. So yeah, man, definitely investigate your local scene, right? If you're don't listen to Paul Jackal players. Yeah, man, something about the Jackal players, man. It's something in the water they drink, man. They got some interesting thoughts.
I live 10 minutes away from him. I want you to know how I feel.
Alrighty, man. So yeah, I've had a great time. If you like me, you want to know what I'm up to, you can hit me up on the socials. I'm on Twitter at Dannyboy, or excuse me, at Dannyboy, as Dannyboy with 5 D's in the front. So what I want you to do, to go on Twitter, right? You're going to type out the letter D 5 times, and then you're going to finish Andyboy. And that's how you're going to find me. You can also follow my life's profession at South Florida FGC on Twitter, and that's a good way to get connected with a lot of the events that are happening in South Florida. I always try to boost out whenever something is happening, of course the locals, but also whenever the bigger events are happening. There are some things that are in store. I'm not gonna explain too much about them. I guess to give a little bit of the teaser for things that are upcoming. There will be a new local happening soon. It's going to be in Miramar, and I know that's going to be a hot ticket location for a lot of people. What's it called? For a lot of people here in the area, because there's a lot of people that kind of live in that middle ground, right? Like me, like I live in Miramar, right? That's the city I live in. So for me, it's gonna be fantastic. And there's a lot of people that go kind of like live in that like South Broward area that don't really have anything that's like super close to them. So that's gonna be something that's happening. I need you guys to stay tuned on that, because working with the city, working with like any government is like a pain, and this is technically with the city of Miramar. It's the same dude that was interested in running Miramar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So keep tuned for that. The other thing too, which Ryan brought up earlier, which is Invite Hell 2. It is happening, and it will have a similar format to how the old Invite Hell 2 was, where we will pick some people that we think are particularly nice with it, and we're gonna, kind of top player privilege themselves into the invitation pool. Everybody else has to earn a spot, right? So it's gonna be top 3 for a couple of locals. We'll say when those happen. But yeah, Invite Hell 2 will happen, and it will happen by the end of this year. So please, stay tuned for that. I will be on the mic. I'm a big fan of commentary. I do love to spit, so hopefully we'll see that. And I'm also trying, fingers crossed, I made a reel and applied for CEO Otaku to commentate there.
Oh, hell yes.
So, so I got some connections, not to, say too many things, but
I don't know anything what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully I get picked. The only thing I'm concerned with, actually, is Arc Revo. CEO Otaku's an Arc Revo event, and Arxis might want to pick their own commentators, but that'll only be for Guilty Gear. I also put in my hat for Grand Blue, so hopefully, I get to show up. And the nice thing about CEO Otaku is they like to pull local talent, right? And I'm obviously not from Central Florida, but Florida's local enough.
Exactly.
So yeah, hopefully some things pan out. Hoping to spread the Dannyboy name. Steal it back from the other guy.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, man.
Waluigi, any closing remarks?
Dude, it was great actually having you like individually. Probably the funniest commentating that I've heard in a while. Like when I first met you, I got to know you from commentating at first.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of the because nowadays if you're a Strive player, you know me from 2 things. You either know me from commentating, or you know me from like talking shit in the in the Discord,
pretty much
in the group chat, right? But yeah, man, it's good,
Yeah, it's definitely awesome hearing your backstory and everything else. Every story that everyone has is unique, especially yours, and definitely wouldn't mind having you on another episode in the future, brother.
Especially a group episode.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
where
dude.
there's more people involved.
Dude, you know what you got to do? Okay, this is what you got to do.
Go on.
I need you to make a Street Fighter 6 podcast, but you only put Strive players, not Marvello, because Marvello has been around, like he's been around the block. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we need like all the new blood. We need like Creator, Turb, Ultima Wielder, 4 face buttons. You get all of them in a room on one side of the table, and I'm on the other side of the table, right? And they'll start complaining about like whatever character, like, oh dude, I can't deal with this crouch medium. Like, oh, you can't deal with a normal? I thought Strive was supposed to teach you footsies like that. You can't 6P everything? That's crazy.
If they're not watching this will be a perfect setup, and then you save this for later. You got to credit yourself.
So yeah, man, we need a dude. That's the thing. I'm not even like old blood, Like I can't even call that I'm like before before this generation, right? Because I'm technically a 16, right? But the thing is that what's it called? It's like I start talking to these people, and then like all of a sudden I feel like I'm fucking old man Jenkins talking with the youngins.
I thought you were an old man Jenkins.
People say that I got like people say that I got the boomer spirit, but then I told them like I was like 3 years old technically when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute.
Beefy saying that you're not ready for his green hand.
Dude, okay, first off, Geef is not even going to have Green Hand. Second off, while it will be dumb when Geef gets Green Hand back, what he doesn't understand is I'm the grappler killer. No grappler can beat me in a set. Dude, I eat Geef and 5 for breakfast. I eat Geef and 4 for breakfast. Because people don't realize if you don't press the button, Geef actually just can't do anything against you, right? But I eat Geef and 5 for breakfast. I eat Geef and 4 for breakfast. Hugo's never touching me in Third Strike, right? I'm just saying, if a grappler gets in on me and starts like cooking me and fighting him, that means they cheated. That's all it is.
Oh my god. I love that mindset. Stay toxic. Stay FGC reasonably toxic.
All right, and before I go and end it, I also want to give since we have a little bit of time left, I do want to give at least 5 minutes for those that are in the chat watching. If there's any questions that you guys want to ask of Dannyboy, go ahead and sound off.
The floor is open.
Floor is open.
You can be as rude as you want. I'll allow it just this once.
Oh my god.
We gonna let y'all, say
it can be FGC, it can be video game, it can be life stuff. I probably don't have too much life stuff to give, but
And Herbs, have a podcast with only bald people only.
Yo, the BGC podcast? Hold on, I kind of like the
Bald
idea.
gaming community.
Oh, that's not what BGC means, but why are you so free in fighting games? Bro, Herbs is talking like his Jacko wasn't hot trash like at the beginning of this year. I don't know what my man is talking about, bro. All I'm going to say is he's not going to see me in any game that isn't Strive. I was like, he keeps telling me he wants to play Grand Blue, but every time I'm on Grand Blue, he's nowhere to be seen. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll play for him.
Manny Fixit says, what's the oldest fighting game you've played?
The oldest fighting game I've played is okay. It depends on your definition of played. If play like ever, like if I've ever touched it, the oldest game I've played is technically like Street Fighter 2, which is like I don't consider fighting games before that game fighting games, if you know what I mean.
You don't
right?
even understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, like as far as like game that like I would say that like I play often, probably ST, which is Street Fighter 2 but better. Right, it's like the last version of it. Right, I think that game is really good. Actually, that's my favorite version of Street Fighter personally. Right. A lot of people won't agree with that, but I'm a big fan of that game.
Beef Humanity asks, Danny, why is Gold Lewis your favorite Guilty Gear character?
All right, so here's the thing.
Oh, dear
Out
God.
of the newcomers to Strive, Gold Lewis, unironically, is probably on the higher end of that list. Even though I don't really like big bodies, I just don't, I don't like playing like slow, kind of bulky characters, right? But Gold Lewis, I think, is interesting. I think he's a very funny character to watch.
Yes.
I think when he's on screen, I think the game is, hilarious.
Even with my L's, I still laugh because it's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I'm so used to seeing Leo, so used to seeing Ram, so used to seeing Happy Chaos, Zato. And then you have someone like Gold Lewis, and it's just like, okay, this is interesting to watch.
He's just a slugger, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say the thing is about Gold Lewis, in any other fighting game, he would be the most like Fisher Price, like baby's first fighting game character ever. But then in Strive, he somehow manages to like not be that. So he like just barely passes the shit list.
Okay.
Herbs, you're not seeing me in Street Fighter 6. I want you to know that, man. That's gonna be like a 50-0 if we see each other.
It's like you're not gonna see him at all, like John Cena.
Yeah, for real, dude. It's not gonna look pretty, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh.
Modern fight stick. Okay, so if I had to recommend a modern fight stick, I think the best bang for your buck would probably be the Quanba Obsidian. That's QANDA.
Oh, I've seen them.
Obsidian. That or the Pearl. It's kind of a preference because they're both basically the same stick. It's good because it's cheaper than most of the other premium ones while still being like premium, I guess if that would say. It has a good weight to it, but not so bulky that you can't carry it around. And then also, it's really good if you plan to travel with it because all the other sticks are like impossible to fit in bags, but that one's like just thin enough. So Quantum Obsidian is pretty good. If you don't want to break the bank, actually no, spend the money on the Obsidian. It's cheaper than everything else. Just get that.
Okay.
Yeah, because some people might ask about the drone, the smaller one.
The drone, I do not recommend the smaller ones. The smaller ones just don't feel good, and they kind of slide around in your lap, and yeah, just not a fun time.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm a newbie with fight sticks, so I would say Hitbox because Herbs introduced it to me.
Hitboxes, okay. Okay, like, if you think you're going to like the Hitbox, get the Hitbox. My only problem is I have a very hard time recommending the actual Hitbox brand itself.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, because I think
After my
number one,
experience.
I think they're a little too expensive for what they are. Like, you can get cheaper alternatives elsewhere. And the other thing, too, is that, like, for how expensive they are, they tend to, like, be pretty faulty. Like, the wiring always gives out. And, I don't know, there's always problems.
That's what happened to me in LG one game, actually.
Yeah.
It was so awkward.
Beefy Humanity asks, are you looking to play Ken in Street Fighter 6, or are there any new prospects you're excited for?
Okay, so I'm indebted to Ken. Ken is my guy, so I have to play Ken. Although I won't lie, they're like doing my boy dirty for like no reason in 6, assuming that the links are real, right?
Yeah.
They're doing
They made him homeless.
Like he literally didn't do anything wrong, and they just decided to like kick him while he's down for like no reason. Like everyone else is doing good too. Like Ryu's like ascended. He finally figured out like the reason for fighting or whatever.
Yeah.
Chun-Li's like flourishing. Guile, they finally let him grow out the beard. Like everyone's doing good, and then Ken randomly is like. Because, okay, here's the thing. The story arc for Ken is he was a spoiled little, like, kid, right?
Yeah.
So his parents are like, all right, we're going to send you to the fucking mountains of Japan to train this with this guy, right? He, like, learns, like, to be a virtuous dude, right? And now all of a sudden, he comes home and he, like, inherits, like, the wealth, but he still is, like, a good guy, right? Like, he's learned discipline, right? So, and he's better off for it, right? So, like, his, like, role in the story beyond that is to be, like, a friend to Ryu, right? Like his idea is like if Ryu's ever down or he's ever doubting himself, like Ken's supposed to be like his rock, right? Like he's supposed to be like the
hype man.
Yeah, it's like there's like so there's a storytelling principle. It's like a character that believes in the persistent truth, and there's a character who believes in the false in like a false truth or whatever, right? So like Ryu thinks that he has to like fight like the evil within him to like become like a strong warrior, but Ken is just like, no, just don't be a bitch, right? And Ryu's like, you know, man, you're right. So he like overcomes that, right? And he figures out like, you know, like the art, like the real reason for fighting, and like the art of nothingness, right? So like Ken does that, and then his reward for doing that is his wife taking the kids and leaving, right? Like,
Goddamn.
what the fuck is that? You know,
The
like that shit makes no
goddamn
fucking
NFTs.
sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, like he blows his money on like Crazy Ape number 582, and now all of a sudden it just all goes to shit. Like he's like teaching his kid how to do like a Shoryuken. It's like a nice wholesome moment, and now all of a sudden he just gets nothing for it. You know what I mean?
You got sure nothing.
All right. Last two questions. Herb says favorite Pokemon.
I have a weird one. I like Mawile.
Mawile?
Yeah,
Really?
I fuck with Mawile. I don't know what it is about Mawile specifically Mega Mawile, the Mega Evolution.
Yeah, it's such
They
a
have an
weird
X and Y.
Pokemon, the anatomy, especially how it looks like a
Yeah.
reverse Venus flytrap with a mouth sticking out.
Yeah, it's based on like an old yokai, where it's like the story is like a woman with like a mouth in the back of her head. She would like, I don't know, lure people in because she's pretty, and then she just fucking eats them to the back of her head because she needs to feed it.
That is weird.
I don't know. I just always liked the design of it. I thought it was always a really cool
It's
Pokemon.
interesting.
Yeah.
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 And in cross, I'll ask Danny, who's getting exposed in 6?
Okay, here's the thing. There's been so many people, including some people in this chat, that claim that I have no neutral, right? That I get carried by like fucking. People were saying that I was getting carried by Gran and Gran Blue, bottom 2 character in the game, by the way, that I was getting carried by. Now that I'm picking Belial, dude, this doesn't fucking stop, right? People were saying that like I'm getting carried by Belial, right? That all I know how to do is just fucking. I mean, it depends on the game, right? But it's like all I know how to do is just fucking hope that they whiff something or like space a short hop or whatever. But I'm telling you, people don't realize that like they're actually not good at fighting games, right? So all the people that are saying that like I have no neutral just don't know what it's like to play against someone that has it, right? So I'm telling you, man, when people go into Street Fighter 6 and their dash doesn't go fucking, you know, all the way across the screen, or you're not playing a character with 3 air dashes, right? Or when you jump and you can't block the DP, right?
You just hop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you jump, you jump. That's it. You commit to that decision, right? So I'm just saying is that when the people who claim that I have no neutral, right? They might be in for a surprise. That's all I'm gonna say.
I can't wait to see this, bro.
That's all I'm gonna say. There are people who got it, and there's people who don't got it. That's all I'm gonna say. Let me not name too many names.
I don't want to be one of them.
Man, Dannyboy, it has been an honor to have you back on the podcast again, especially as a solo guest. Thank you so much for being on. Glad to have you, and I can't wait to have you again for another episode. Hopefully with some of the people that's in this chat, especially when Street Fighter 6 come out, because, y'all been very talkative. So
For real,
when the game
man?
comes out, we're going to have another, episode, a group episode, and, Dannyboy's gonna expose some people.
Yeah,
some people gonna get called out.
I'm gonna have some words, man. I'm gonna have some words. But it's thank you for having me on. I had
Of
a great
course,
time,
brother. Thank you.
and looking forward to many more in the future.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, this has been episode 58 of the South Florida Gamers Podcast. The podcast is available on all audio hosting platforms, wherever you listen to: SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, wherever, iHeartRadio. We're there. And, of course, video playback will be available on YouTube and Facebook later on. Thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for following, for subscribing, for donating bits. Greatly appreciate it, and we are going to sign off. Y'all have a good one.
Peace out, my dudes.
Herbs, you are not smoking everybody in Street Fighter 6.
You're garbage, bro. I'm sorry to tell you, man. Someone has to break it to you. Man.
You said start smoking people in your own game before. Damn.
That is how you close a podcast.
Yes, I'm closing it.
It's true.